Chapter 1341. No, 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 definitely not. This is just the words from my hometown. It means to be surprised. Yi Yan still had the ability to bullsh *t in order to make his mother happy. He had no bottom line. Chiyu nodded her head, then apologize. There's no need for that. I didn't do anything to you and you scolded me too. Yi Yan felt that this woman was just being unreasonable. Don't force me. You were stopped outside the palace. Was it me who brought you in? It's fine if you don't thank me, but you are still acting all high and mighty, and when you saw the Empress, you even humiliated me. I have never been humiliated like this in my life. If you weren't Prince Ye's son, Damn, it's just a small matter and you have already stretched the matter to the point of humiliation. Can you be even more shameless? And it's this kind of address again. Alright. It's my fault. I shouldn't have humiliated you. Calm down. Yi Yan was helpless. He didn't want to lower himself to a woman's level. Now he finally understood how troublesome women were, and he could also understand his father's sorrow. How could he endure his mother's bad temper? After hearing that, Chiyu did not say anything. It could be considered as accepting the apology, and her heart felt a bit better. You can help me now, right? When did I say that I will help you? Yi Yan went into a daze. Hey. You can't go back on your words, right? Prince Ye's son, there seems to be a bit of a problem with your ability to understand. Damn. There is a problem with this understanding. This woman is the king of verbal cannons. The kind that can kill you with just a bit of faulty language. Seems like I can only use my big move. I hope that what Aunt said is right. Follow me home, pretend to be my woman. Yi Yan directly stated his purpose. It was really simple and clear. Although Yi Yan's words made Chiyu go into a daze, she had actually guessed that the Empress wanted to talk about family matters with her nephew. Seems like this is what this Prince Ye's son is talking about. Yi family. Seeing that Chiyu was hesitating, Yi Yan felt refreshed. Seems like what Aunt said is right. Just now, you were suppressing me. Now I want to get back at you. If you are not willing, then forget it. I am leaving. Without waiting for Chiyu to react, Yi Yan directly jumped off the carriage. Actually, he was a bit nervous. What if this woman did not call him? What if she ran back obediently? No, this woman wanted to go to the Yi family. Now was the best time. She would definitely not let go of this opportunity. Yi Yan counted down in his heart as he walked back. I'll count to 10. This woman will definitely not be able to hold it in. If she can hold it in, young Master Yi will eat shit live without frowning. The sound of the carriage rolling on the ground rang out. Yi Yan had already started counting down to 20. And this woman actually did not call out to me to stop. Faster, Xikemi. So powerful. If I turn around, I'll jump off the city wall. After quite a while inside the carriage, Yi Yan said, Beautiful lady, just help me really, please. Yi Yan never beg anyone. Yi Yan was really defeated by this woman. Not in terms of force but in terms of mentality. She was indeed the girl that his aunt liked. She was so stable and would definitely not give herself away in front of his parents. Prince Ye's son, I'm also an innocent woman. I'll pretend to be your wife and go home with you. Once you've done your job, what about my reputation? It can't be. You want me to marry you? The corner of Chiyu's mouth twitched. She wished that she could just kick Yi Yan and put aside her recuperation. You're thinking too much. It's good that you're not. If you have any requests, feel free to tell me. If I can satisfy it, I will satisfy all of them. Chiyu lightly rubbed her chin, then looked at Yi Yan and asked faintly, If you can tell me on what basis should I help you, I will promise you. On the basis that you are interested in my family. Yi Yan directly said. This caused Chiyu to go into a daze for a moment. After quite a while she said, As expected of Prince Ye's son, I can promise you, but you have to promise me a few things. Tell me. I have already pretended to cooperate with you, but after we go to your family, you have to give me a detailed introduction. During this period of time, we are only pretending and there cannot be any physical contact. Yi Yan was speechless. Big brother pretending to be husband and wife without any physical contact? Who would believe that? That will depend on the situation. If you do something excessive, even if I die, I will expose your conspiracy. Damn, isn't it just pretending to be husband and wife? You are making it seem like I am trying to usurp the throne. Relax, I am not interested in you. Yi Yan took a glance at Chiyu. She was wrapped up tightly and nothing could be seen on her body. However, Aunt said that her looks are not bad as long as she is around the same as God Ye's wife, it will be fine. If I surpass her, it would seem like I am acting cool, huh? It better be like that. In the past there have been men who said that before, but in the end she really smells good. Yi Yan's jaw was about to drop onto the ground. Are you sure that this isn't someone from the same hometown? Relax, even if I die I will not do anything to you. Yi Yan patted his chest and said seriously. When are we going? We are going now. However, before that we still have to discuss how we got to know each other. If not, if we ask about something that doesn't match up, that won't do. Qiyu nodded her head, agreeing with Yi Yan. I will bring you around Wuxia Empire first. Have you been there before? Yi Yan asked curiously. Yes. Thinking about it, you will go there too. Tonight I will bring you around the Imperial Palace. After hearing that, Qiyu became a bit nervous. After all, this is Prince Ye's house and I didn't expect that I would be able to enter it this way. I have heard about it before and now that I am able to see it with my own eyes, I am nervous and excited. Can you promise me one thing? Yi Yan said solemnly. What thing? Don't call me Prince Ye's son anymore, just call me Brother Yan, alright? This kind of request was not too much, so Qiyu nodded her head and agreed. Then, since we are going to disguise ourselves, are you going to take off your veil? I have to take a look as well, if not, if someone asks me I won't even know what you look like. You can be at ease, I am still very confident in my looks. I will not make you lose face. Qiyu said lightly. Seems like she is indeed very confident in this aspect. Yi Yan did not force her. Alright, but don't trick me. If you don't make me angry, I naturally won't trick you. Fortunately that is not true. Yi Yan let out a light sigh. If I have a wife like this I will really have a big headache. It is not good to be too smart sometimes, it is cuter for a woman to pretend to be stupid. Qiyu naturally heard what Yi Yan said and she snorted coldly. The two directly went to Wuxia Empire. Yi Yan and Qiyu also talked about how they got to know each other and so on and so forth. Only after both of their testimonies matched up did Yi Yan feel at ease and bring Qiyu into the Imperial Palace. However, Yi Yan was also a bit nervous. If my disguise is seen through, I will be dead. Chapter 1342. At night our whole family will be sitting together for dinner. Yi Yan said in a low voice as he walked in the palace with Qiyu. Is there anyone else? Qiyu asked in a low voice. My dad, for moms, my big sister, my younger brothers and sisters, and also my grandma. Originally my uncle's family would be here as well, but something happened today and it's not a good thing. You will know about it in the future. Yi Yan didn't want to go into details. This should also be considered as a family scandal. So it's better not to spread it out. This Qiyu is still an outsider, not one of us. Of course, Qiyu knew that Prince Yi had a younger brother, but hearing that there was a scandal she was also quite curious. Seems like as long as one is a woman one would have a gossipy heart. However, she was also curious about Yi Yan's brothers and sisters. Prince Ye's son, the situation in your family is indeed a bit complicated. Yi Yan felt a headache. Didn't we agree on how to address each other? Brother Yan, I'm sorry, I'm not used to it. Qiyu said softly, sounding very pleasant. Yi Yan liked this kind of tone, nice to hear, gentle enough. 100 times gentler than his mother's tone. It's really nice to hear you speak with this kind of tone. As a standard scumbag, Yi Yan naturally knew how to coax a girl. However, Qiyu was a child that was a few hundred years old and had a lot of experience. It wasn't like she hadn't seen this kind of scumbag before. Men are all the type that talk glibly, especially those like Yi Yan. They are very unreliable. What kind of tone I use when I speak will depend on what kind of attitude you have. Alright, take it that I didn't say anything. However, can you take off your veil now? Do you want to run in front of my parents like this? Yi Yan was actually very curious about Qiyu's appearance. His aunt said that she was a super beauty, but he didn't know if it was true or not. The custom of my hometown is like this. Girls that are not married cannot take off their veil. Qiyu didn't lie to Yi Yan. This was a custom that couldn't be violated. Then you can't be eating like this too, right? Later on my parents will definitely ask you to take off your veil. Yi Yan said seriously. After speaking for a while he continued, if you don't take off your veil my parents will think that you are not giving them face, and the situation will be even worse. I'll decide based on the situation, Qiyu said helplessly. It doesn't depend on the situation. It has to be. I'm not joking with you. My family isn't as simple as you think, especially when it comes to the marriage of our generation. Yi Yan emphasized again and again. Don't pretend. Don't pretend and cause trouble. Qiyu nodded. I understand. All right, let's go. Yi Yan stretched out his hand and held onto Qiyu's small hand. Feels not bad. Chuyu's small hand is soft, and it feels very comfortable to hold on to. Chuyu frowned but didn't say anything in the end. In order to see the legendary Yi family, the price she paid was quite big. Soon the two of them arrived at Lu Jing's chamber. Chuyu could vaguely see the figures inside and they were all sitting together. Yan was a little nervous. After all, this was a fake. It would be a little difficult to fool his parents. He hoped that nothing would go wrong tonight. Chuyu, hold on. Your palms are sweating. Yi Yan, this Chuyu sure knows how to adjust the atmosphere. Yi Yan became a little more relaxed as he held onto Chuyu's hand and walked into the main hall. Right now, Yi Hua's entire family was sitting together. The atmosphere didn't seem to be very good and no one spoke. Seeing this atmosphere, Yi Yan felt a chill. If I were to be exposed, the situation would become even more depressing. Yi Yan tightened his grip on Chuyu's small hand, seemingly trying to cheer for Chuyu. However, Chuyu was currently even calmer than Yi Yan. To Chuyu, when she saw the legendary Lord Yi and such a large family, her heart surged. Ever since she heard about Yi family, she became incomparably curious. Just what kind of person was able to overthrow the rule of a deity? Look at Lord Yi, that domineering aura between his brows. That is the aura of a ruler that he was born with. Also, the woman beside him, she truly made me feel inferior. This will be my future goal. Grandma, Dad, Mothers, I'm back. Yi Yan stood at the entrance and shouted out respectfully. Chuyu, who was at the side, immediately became nervous because everyone was looking at her. Even Dong Huangli was very surprised. This Yan, where did he find such an actress in less than a day's time? Furthermore, he even appeared with a veil on. Doesn't he know that this is disrespectful? Idiot. Are you trying to make Dad happy or are you trying to make Dad unhappy? Who dares to wear a veil in front of Dad? Gilu was the same. Where did Big Brother find such an actress? Who dares to wear a veil in front of Dad? Yilu was the same as well. Where did Big Brother find such an actress? It can't be that he bought her with money, right? If Mom were to find out about this, wouldn't she spank your butt? God, Yi looked at Big Brother and was very puzzled. How did he suddenly get a girlfriend? Did he hide it so deeply? Lu Xian'er's thoughts were different. Finally, there is someone that I can communicate with. Lu Jing was of course very happy when she saw this. She couldn't wait to have a house full of children and grandchildren. Although I can't see her face, just by standing there I can feel a kind of gentleness and even a kind of amiable and approachable feeling. This kind of girl is indeed not bad. From the looks of it, her family background should be pretty good. I wonder how does she look like? Yihua looked at Chuyu. Yihua looked at Chuyu. So this is my younger sister's matchmaking? The girl looks not bad, but wearing a veil, it seems like she is not giving me face at all. As a junior, seeing that an elder is still wearing a veil, Yihua would naturally be a bit unhappy. Yi Yan seemed to be able to sense his father's unhappiness. I knew that this veil shouldn't be worn, you just didn't listen to me, stupid woman. Dad, Mom, this is my girlfriend, Chuyu. Previously I was embarrassed to bring her back, but today I finally brought her back. Don't misunderstand, there is a rule in Chuyu's hometown. This unmarried girl cannot take off her veil. Yi Yan hurriedly explained. I can't let Dad and Mom be unhappy. I was already unhappy to begin with. If I make things worse, that would not be good. Hearing that, Yihua asked faintly, unmarried girl? Cannot take off her veil? Yan, in that case even you have never seen her before? Yi Yan was immediately speechless. Dad attacked so quickly. So ferocious. Thus Yi Yan directly touched Chuyu's palm. Who asked you to act cool? Look at what happened now. At this moment Chuyu said respectfully, Prince Yi, Chuyu has been rude. However, this is the rule of my hometown. Chuyu has no choice. Brother Yan and I are truly in love with each other. This is a heart-to-heart communication. Yihua knew about the inside story. Towards Chuyu's reply, he was rather satisfied. However, you two little things, you are actually faking it in such a dignified way. Chapter 1343. You guys are really not putting me, your father, in your eyes. Then I can only let you guys give birth to a child to apologize to me. Yi Yan was startled. Who are you trying to bluff? Heart-to-heart communication, so you didn't even blink when lying. Yan, you two have never even seen Chuyu's face before? Qingye asked in shock. This is too exaggerated. Could it be that this is true love? Dong Huangli almost laughed out. Can the two of you be a bit more serious? At least check your statements before coming here. Looking at the situation, it seems like both of you didn't check your statements properly. Towards his mother's question and answer, Yi Yan could only brace himself and say, Mom Yen, do I look like the kind of man who would judge a book by its cover? I like Chuyu's inner beauty. Puchi, Yilu couldn't hold it in anymore and laughed out. Liking other people's inner beauty, Yi Yen glared at his sister. If not for you, would your brother have done such a thing? I even begged her to pretend to be Chuyu. What a loss. Lu, Xianxia called out in a low voice. Sorry Mom, Lu forgot myself. Yi Lu hurriedly apologized. Under normal circumstances Yi Lu wouldn't laugh unless I couldn't hold it in anymore. Donghuang Baiji laughed. Come and sit down first Chuyu, don't be restrained since Yen brought you into the house. From now on we are a family. Yi Yen let out a sigh of relief and pulled Chuyu to sit down first. This can be considered as passing the first test. At this moment Lu Jing asked kindly, Yen, how did you two get to know each other? Before Yi Yen finished speaking, Yi Hua asked faintly, Lu, do you know that your brother is looking for a girlfriend? Yi Yen thought to himself, this is bad. If you were to trick me today, even if I become a ghost, I won't let you off. Yi Lu's heart sunk, his mind was frantically trying to pretend that he understood. Right now Yi Lu's IQ was increasing at a rocket speed. The truth proved that, when a person is lying, their IQ is like Einstein. I don't know. Yi Lu said lightly and gave a very good answer. Yi Yen let out a sigh of relief. Luckily, I didn't trick my brother. Yi Hua asked, tell me, how did you hide it? Yi Yen prepared to tell her. Yen, I'm not asking you to say it, I'm asking your wife to say it. Yi Hua said faintly. He was already referring to Chuyu as his son's wife. This made Chuyu a little embarrassed, but she still followed the plan. That was 2 years ago. Back then Brother Yen was training. At that time I met a few bad guys. Fortunately Brother Yen appeared in time. Otherwise the consequences would have been unimaginable. After hearing that, Yi Hua let out a sigh in his heart. Can't the two of you come up with an interesting meeting scene? This kind of melodramatic plot, your old man, I have long stopped using it. Yi Yen added, at first I didn't have any feelings for Chuyu. Me too, Chuyu immediately said as if she was a little angry. However, this made Xianxia and the others feel that these two people are a bit interesting. From the looks of it, these two people are the kind of people who like to quarrel. When Yi Yen heard Chuyu actually refuting him, he immediately secretly tugged at Chuyu's clothes. What do you mean? You're being too unreasonable at this time. But Chuyu must repay me with her body. You were the one who chased me relentlessly. Everyone, just how many versions are there? Dong Huangli turned her face away. Are you two joking around? However, in Yi Hua's eyes, this plot was actually not bad. There was a bit of a twist in the plot. Continue. Who's chasing who? Him. Her. From the looks of it, these two people are really at loggerheads with each other, and everything that was agreed upon previously is thrown to the back of their minds. Looking at her son and future daughter-in-law, Xianxia had a smile on her face, and her mood immediately became much better. Alright, Yen, you have to treat girls better, don't be calculative with girls all the time, don't be like your father. Xianxia said tenderly, and conveniently even Yi Hua was being talked about. Yi Hua said faintly, what about me? Back then weren't you the one who chased me? If it wasn't for Yen, would I be able to look for you? If you have the ability, then don't look for me. Everyone had a stupefied look on their face. As they spoke, Yi Hua and Xianxia actually started scolding each other. Seeing that his parents actually started scolding each other, Yi Yen felt extremely anxious in his heart. From the looks of it, the more they quarrel, the fiercer they will become. I was still thinking of bringing my girlfriend back to ease the tension. I can only change the topic. Change what topic? What topic? This is what we are interested in. The mom. Actually, I brought Chuyu back today. It's because Chuyu has a child. Yi Hua and Xianxia immediately stopped what they were doing, then looked at Yi Yen and Chuyu with a face full of astonishment. Not only Yi Hua and Xianxia, everyone else was the same, their jaws were about to drop onto the table. Dong Huangli was astonished in her heart. Bro, this nonsense of yours is too much. Let's see when you are going to give birth to a child. Chuyu was also incomparably astonished. There was no such thing in the plan. After hearing that, Lu Jing became extremely happy and her expression immediately became better. You are pregnant? That's great. Yen is really not bad. Yi Hua didn't even bother to quarrel with Xianxia anymore. On the other hand, I am curious, how are you planning to give birth to a child, Yen? Qingya's expression immediately changed. Really? You aren't lying to Mom? At this moment Yi Yan regretted. Why did I say that I am pregnant? It's true. Yi Yan was helpless. I am the one who is faking it. Even if I die, I have to finish faking it. Wow, when did this happen? Qin Yutong asked curiously. However, the question was directed towards Chuyu. Chu didn't know what to say anymore. The shameless Yi Yan. He is definitely taking revenge on me. However, what else can I do right now? This is just like that saying, a small lie. In the end, I have to use even more lies to cover it up. It has already been a month. Chuyu said with a bashful tone. That's why I directly brought her back. Yi Yan added. After hearing that, Yi Hua nodded his head. Not bad, she is pregnant. You two have to work hard as well. God Yi went into a daze for a moment, then hurriedly said, Daddy Xianer and I are currently working hard. Lu Xianer pinched God Yi ferociously under the table. What work hard? You liar, you tricked me into your house then took possession of me. Yi Hua's child is born with the attribute of possessiveness. Donghuang Baiji looked at her son and seemed to be saying, look at your brother, he only brought her home after getting pregnant, you should do the same. Qinya said tenderly, Chuyu, since the two of you have already developed to such a stage, can you take off this veil and let everyone take a look at you? Chuyu had already said it to this extent. What else could Chuyu do? Chuyu could be seen slowly raising her hand and taking off the veil. Everyone was curious about what Yi Yan's girlfriend looked like, even Yi Yan himself was curious. Chapter 1344. When Yi Hua saw Chuyu's appearance he was dumbfounded. Wu Jing was also dumbfounded. Qingya and the others were also dumbfounded. Daji, who was standing at the side, was also dumbfounded. Only the children were amazed. Just that, the exclamations from both sides were different. The children were exclaiming over Chuyu's looks. She is indeed very beautiful. However, what made Yi Hua and the others exclaim in surprise was that Chuyu's appearance was too similar to a person's, to the extent that it felt as if Chuyu was standing right in front of their eyes, and they could even meet that person's gaze. Chuyu seemed very gentle, but there was a bit of redness on her face, seeming to be a bit shy. Yi. Daji couldn't help but shout. That's right. Chuyu's appearance was very similar to Yi's with a 99% similarity. As for the 1% difference, it was probably just that her hair was slightly longer, and she didn't look like she was trembling with fear. After all, when Yi was in the palace at that time she was always nervous and panicky. Chuyu was nervous now, but of course she was more embarrassed. When the children heard the words Yi, they were all very unfamiliar. After all, no one had told them about Yi's story, so they were very confused. Yi Hua was indeed very surprised. I didn't expect that I would actually be able to see someone who looks so similar to Yi. And furthermore, this person even came to my house. Was this deliberately arranged by the heavens? Qian Yuqing looked at Chuyu and immediately thought of Yi's situation at that time. It was a really sad process. Donghuang Baiji came back to her senses and asked earnestly, Chuyu, how old are you, right now? Auntie, I'm 119 years old now. Chuyu lowered her head slightly and said shyly. It was really embarrassing to say out a girl's age. He was still too young. Puff. Ian almost puked out a mouthful of blood. Such a beautiful girl, and she is actually so old. Just how old am I? I am not even 20 years old yet. She was actually 119 years old. Oh my god. This is just an old woman, but her appearance is really good looking, especially that pair of eyes with a single look. It's very hard to forget. No wonder he became a masked man. He did have some real skills. Upon hearing Chuyu's age, Qingya immediately denied the idea of reincarnation. Yi had died 12 years ago and Chuyu had already existed for a long time. It was very normal for there to be people who looked alike in this world. Lu Jing kindly smiled and said, she's still a little girl. She's really a good match for Yen. When Yi Yan heard his grandmother's words, his jaw almost dropped onto the table. Grandmother. 119 years old. Can this still be considered as a little girl? She was old enough to be his grandmother. However, for a person who could easily live for tens of thousands of years, a person who was over 100 years old was indeed no different from a child. He was even a minor. Qian Yuqing curiously asked, Chuyu, what do your parents do? Do you have any brothers or sisters? Chuyu said honestly, Auntie, I have 5 older brothers, 6 older sisters, 8 younger brothers and 10 younger sisters. My father is the ruler of a country and my mother is the mother of a country. Yi Hua knew about Chuyu's background, so he wasn't too surprised. On the other hand, the others were a little surprised. This Chiyu was actually a princess. No wonder she had such a good recuperation. However, they also dispelled a question, which was that Yi didn't die but had lost her memory. After all, he had so many brothers and sisters, so it was unlikely that he would lose his memory. But for the sake of safety, he still had to investigate it. He didn't want to make the matter more problematic. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji looked towards Yi Hua. Their meaning was very clear. They still had to investigate Chiyu's background. Yi Hua also knew about it. He immediately sent a voice transmission to Wei Chong and told Wei Chong to investigate Chiyu from the moment she was born. Chiyu could clearly sense that everyone was behaving strangely. Could it be that there was a problem with my appearance? To actually be so surprised. The children were also very confused. Could it be that something else happened during this period of time? Suddenly, Dong Huangli recalled that Daji had called out to Yi just now. It was clear that Daji had seen Chiyu's appearance. Also, Uncle seemed to have mentioned Yi on the street today, and that's why he got so angry. Could it be that this Yi is related to Uncle? What the hell? Why does Dong Huangli feel that Yi Yan brought a troublesome person home? At this moment, Blood Demon carried the dishes onto the table. This was the first time that Chiyu had tasted such dishes. She really wanted to eat more, but she felt embarrassed, because doing so would make her seem like she wasn't reserved enough. Yi Hua took a look at Lu Xiener, who was at the side, who was about the same age as her. God Yi had been helping Lu Xiener to pick up the dishes, and Lu Xiener was eating so happily. Yi Hua then took a look at the one at the side who only cares about eating by herself. Can't you pick up some dishes for me? Are you a blockhead? Do you really need me to call you before you eat? Seems like the temptation that girls have towards delicacies is very high. Therefore, under the table, Chiyu ruthlessly pinched Yi Yan. Ouch, why did you pinch me? Yi Yan immediately jumped up. After jumping up, he felt that something was wrong. This doesn't seem to be a reaction that one should have towards a girlfriend. With a smile on her face, Qingya shook her head. These two children are quite interesting and their relationship seems to be quite good. Seeing that Yi Yan had such a big reaction, Chiyu's face became even redder. Yi Yan. He definitely did this on purpose to make me look bad. You said that you will take care of me and the child, and all you know is to eat by yourself. Chiyu immediately launched a counterattack. Since Piao Miao's child has already been brought out, then I will properly bring out the child. Child, just what did I do wrong? I am not even an egg yet and you are already starting to use me to make a fuss. Are there any parents like you too? Qingya felt a headache coming on. I nearly forgot that Chiyu is the flesh and blood of a son. Yan, you are also someone who is going to be a father. No matter what, you have to learn to take care of people. Don't be impatient, get rid of your previous bad habits. Yi Yan stuttered for a while but still couldn't think of anything to refute. It is all my fault. Why did I have to say that I am pregnant? Great, if I didn't treat her well, I would have said that. Don't think that just because you are beautiful, you can do whatever you want. Yi Yan will fall for this. What do you want to eat? Yi Yan said petulantly. After hearing that, Qingya became unhappy. Why is this tone of yours the same as that scoundrel father of yours? My son cannot become the second Yi Hua. Yan, is this your attitude? Yi Yan, Mom, what other attitude can I have? This is a fake, the person is fake, the child is also fake. Andy, it's fine, I am already used to it. What a ruthless woman. Yi Yan have finally experienced it today. I regret, I shouldn't have brought you home right now, I have shot myself in the foot. Chiyu, call me Mom. In the future Mom will take care of you. If this fellow dares to bully you, Mom will break his leg. Yi Yan was stupefied. This brat is already calling me Mom and she still wants to take care of me? Chapter 1346. Following Yi Hua's words, the entire world seemed to have quietened down. Although Yi Hua was angry, he didn't say those words out of anger. Instead, it seemed to be the result that he came up with after careful consideration. However, it wasn't the result after consideration. Nobody knew whether those words were said out of anger or something else. But no matter what it was, it still shocked everyone. Thinking about it was one thing, but if his honor were to really say it out loud, the effect would be different. The subordinates that were outside didn't say anything. For things to develop to this point, it was completely what the two madams wanted. There was nothing to persuade them. His honor wasn't that easy to talk to. The children in the house were all shocked. After being away for 12 years, this is the second day. Their parents were about to separate. They couldn't accept such a thing at all. Now they didn't know what to say at all. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing were very shocked. but they also knew in their hearts that this was the result of forcing Yihua to do something. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji didn't expect that Yihua would really say it out loud. In actuality, this was not the result that they wanted. They only wanted to listen to Yihua's explanation and receive the concern of a husband, that's all. However, they had neglected an important question, and that was, concern should be mutual. Why should it only be the man who is concerned? As a woman, if she couldn't even care about her husband, what qualifications did she have to ask her husband to do something? At the very least, this was what Yihua was thinking in his heart. In the past, I accommodated you all and allowed you all to have a little temper. However, this kind of temper is not something that can be endured for a long time. For this woman, you actually want to abandon us. Xianxia pointed at the woman at the side and said gravely while looking at Yihua. This was the ability of women to twist the truth. She clearly didn't care about other people's affairs, but she could still drag them into it. This was the scariest part about women. They were unreasonable. But reasoning with a woman is also a mistake. Yihua didn't want to talk about these useless things with them at all. Since we have already come to a decision, then let's part on good terms. Following Yihua's words, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiqi revealed a kind of expression in their eyes. This kind of expression was filled with indignation and even more so, fear. However, at this moment the door was pushed open again. Daji supported Lu Jing and slowly walked in. When Yihua saw that his mother had arrived, he called out lightly, "Mother." Lu Jing nodded and looked at the situation. She had just said it last night, but she didn't expect it to still blow up. It was even to the extent that the whole city knew about it. "Mother." Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing called out lightly. "Grandma." The four children also called out. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji stared at Yihua, as if they wanted to rub Yihua's face, make him reorganize his words and say it again. "If there's anything, we'll talk about it when we get home. Xianxia Baiji, as the Empress, pay attention to your appearance. Don't let others see us as a joke." Lu Jing actually knew that it wasn't their fault, but it was wrong of them to come out and cause trouble today. This had already reached the level of a shrew. Xianxia looked at Lu Jing and tears immediately flowed down from her eyes. "Mother, look at Yihua. He didn't come back for an entire night and was fooling around with this woman. Even after we saw him, he still doesn't want to admit it." "Xianxia, that's enough. Which one of your eyes saw that I did something to her?" Upon hearing what Xianxia said, Yihua immediately became angry. "Damn it, this is making something out of nothing. Just like before, stupid woman." Lu Jing took a look at the woman on the ground. "To be honest, the woman is quite pretty, but my son definitely won't fall for her." Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji just wanted to use this matter to cause trouble with Yihua and let out all of the resentment that they had accumulated over the years. "Enough. All of you stop talking. Are you two trying to anger me to death?" Lu Jing rarely got angry, and from the time Yihua met his mother had never gotten angry at him. However, today his mother got angry, and it wasn't a small one. Yihua looked at his mother and slightly lowered his head, expressing that he didn't mean it that way. It was all because of these two women. In the past, I would still think that I would be able to teach them well, but from the looks of it now, I am completely unable to teach them well. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji hurriedly lowered their heads and said, "Mother, we didn't mean it that way." "That's good. Since you two don't want to anger me to death, then go back and quarrel with me. Go back and scold me. You two can do whatever you want, but don't lose face outside." Lu Jing shouted out gravely, then turned around and left. Daji took a look at her master, then silently left with Lu Jing. This time Lu Jing didn't side with anyone because it wasn't good to side with anyone. Thus he might as well scold both sides together. Yihua snorted coldly, then immediately disappeared from the spot. Looking at Yihua disappearing without saying a word, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji immediately started bawling out loud. "That grievance, that pain. Yihua, you are a scoundrel. How can you say such a thing?" Donghuang Baiji hammered the floor and shouted out. "What did I do wrong? In the past I was obedient to you and you can play with me however you want. But now you are ignoring me and you even said such a thing." Donghuang Baiji felt terrible to the max. Xianxia felt the same as well. Her heart felt as if it was about to be torn apart. Seeing that their mother was crying out loud without caring about her image, the children walked forward and consoled their mother. Although their mouths were saying words of consolation, in their hearts they were thinking, "Isn't this all because of you two? We can clearly be happy together, but mother, you two insist on increasing the difficulty." Soon after, His Honor's subordinates left as well. I wonder what His Honor is thinking. However, looking at His Honor's attitude just now, he doesn't seem to be that ruthless. His Honor's mother is still the formidable one, to be able to settle everything with just a sentence or two. Although His Honor's words weren't ruthless, this time, it was His Honor's wife's turn. If His Honor's wife is willing to lower her head, then things would be easy to settle. If His Honor's wife is still not willing to lower her head and still wants to argue with His Honor, then there would really be no hope left. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji cried for a very long time, then left with the children. Using Donghuang Li's words, right now father and mother both need to calm down, and for the time being they shouldn't meet each other, lest they start scolding each other the moment they see each other. Sigh, I really didn't expect that big brother and big sister-in-law would actually quarrel to this extent. Yi Juetian didn't return back to the palace in a hurry, and he brought along Gong Yu and walked around the city. Gong Yu hugged onto Yi Juetian's arm very tightly. Big brother and big sister-in-law's relationship was indeed very good in the past, but as time passes, no matter how strong the relationship is, it will eventually fade. Yi Juetian went into a daze and Yi couldn't help but appear in his mind. From start to finish, my feelings towards Yi have never faded, even after so many years have passed. As for Gong Yu, who is beside me right now, perhaps it's only because of our children, that's why we are together. Yi Juetian didn't know anymore, and right now his mind was in a bit of a mess. Chapter 1347. Gong Yu also realized that she had said the wrong thing. However, seeing the struggle in Yi Juetian's eyes, Gong Yu felt very uncomfortable in her heart. Although Yi was already dead, she was still stuck between Yi Juetian and her and would always be there. Gong Yu really wanted to tell Yi Juetian right now that Yi was already dead. That girl in your heart is already dead. Forget about her. Can't you just cherish the person in front of you? After all, in the following years the two of us will be living together. Can't you share a bit of love with me, even if it's just a little bit? Although the two of them were walking on the street together, the two of their hearts seemed to be not the same. Perhaps it was because of the child that they were tied down, that's why it was like this. If they didn't have a child, perhaps Yi Juetian would still treat each other with respect. In the end, Gong Yu was also a pitiful woman. Meng Li, as Meng Yao's cousin, had been living in Wuxia Empire all these years, and her life seemed to have changed completely. She got married, and even had her own child, and the sorrow in the past seemed to have disappeared along with the passing of time. Right now, Meng Li was also walking on the street with her husband and a 7-year-old daughter beside her. The family of 3 was very happy. However, Meng Li suddenly saw a figure and went into a slight daze. The emperor left the palace? No, this isn't the emperor. Although he looks similar, there is a scar on his face and his right sleeve is also empty. Could this be the emperor's younger brother? Who is that woman beside him? The two of them are actually so intimate. The sorrowful memories that had originally disappeared immediately surged into her heart. If I didn't guess wrongly, this man is the man that Meng Yao likes. However, look at the current situation. There is a beautiful woman beside him, but Meng Yao, a surge of anger instantly exploded in Meng Li's mind. Meng Li, what happened to you? Her husband, who was beside her, sensed Meng Li's change and asked concernedly. The child looked at his mother with a very puzzled gaze. However, Meng Li, who was burning with anger, directly walked towards Yi Juetian. Yi Juetian seemed to have felt a surge of anger pressing towards him. Looking at the unfamiliar woman who was walking over, his expression was a little puzzled. However, there seemed to be a very familiar feeling between the woman's brows. Suddenly, a wave of killing intent spread out as a sword condensed in Meng Li's hand, and it pierced towards Yi Juetian's forehead with an aura of death. In her fury, Meng Li had actually broken through. Everyone around was dumbfounded. This was the emperor's younger brother, yet he was ambushed on the street. As Meng Li's husband, he was currently dumbfounded on the spot, not knowing why his wife suddenly became like this. Could it be that his wife is a spy? Waiting for this moment? Gong Yu didn't react at all, but that didn't mean that Yi Juetian didn't react. After all, he had trained outside for so long, and this kind of killing intent was already a common thing. Facing such a situation, Yi Juetian stood still and did not move because there was no need for him to move. He would be able to block the attack with just his aura. The tip of the sword seemed to pierce through the air, emitting an ear-piercing sword cry. The thunder is loud but the rain is small. This was the portrayal of the current situation. The tip of the sword was still a fist's length away from Yi Juetian's forehead when it stopped moving. It was completely blocked by a vicious aura. Who are you? Why do you want to kill me? Yi Juetian asked curiously. To be able to remain calm in the face of such an assassination meant that Yi Juetian had indeed matured. You heartless man. I will take revenge for Meng Yao today. Everyone was dumbfounded by Meng Li's words. Heartbreaker? The emperor's younger brother was a heartless man? Who was that Meng Yao? From the looks of it, the royal family was really in a mess. Just a moment ago, the royal family was still in martial law. Presumably something happened to the emperor. Right now, the emperor's own younger brother actually became a heartless person. This is clearly messing around. If not, why would other people raise their swords and charge at the royal family with no regard for their lives, seemingly wanting to perish together with the royal family? Gong Yu rarely left the palace, and even to the extent that Gong Yu didn't know Meng Li, but after hearing Meng Li's words, Gong Yu knew that this woman's concern for Yi wasn't shallow. It's over. Absolute heaven is going to know about it. I didn't expect that on the second day after I returned, Zhu Tian would find out about it. I thought that I would be able to hide it from Zhu Tian for a few years, and by then Zhu Tian would have forgotten about it. At this moment Yi Juetian was frozen stiff. That single sentence had revealed too much information. Meng Yao? Wasn't it just Yi? To avenge Meng Yao, kill a heartless man like him? In order to avenge Yi? Yi Juetian's eyes instantly turned red, and killing intent uncontrollably emitted out from his body. A huge sea of blood seemed to have appeared behind him, and the long sword in Meng Li's hand instantly turned into dust. Speak. What? What happened to Yi? Yi Juetian grabbed onto Meng Li's wrist and questioned coldly. An overflowing anger was swelling up in his heart, and it seemed like it would explode at any moment. You still have the face to ask. Meng Yao is already dead. She had already died 12 years ago. These words were just like a bolt from the blue, seemingly wanting to strike Yi Juetian down. Yi is dead? How is that possible? Yi is so strong, how is it possible for her to die? I'm still waiting for Yi to call out to me. I have been waiting all this while. 12 years ago? That is something that happened right after I left the palace. Impossible. This is definitely impossible. You lied to me. Yi won't die. Yi Juetian seemed as if he had gone mad. His face was already distorted to the extreme. He was grabbing onto Meng Li's wrist until it turned white, and his gaze was filled with killing intent. It was as if he was saying, if you don't make things clear today, don't even think about seeing tomorrow's sun. Meng Li looked at Yi Juetian coldly. I really feel that it's not worth it to mention Meng Li. There's only such a man, and you are actually thinking about him. Looking at Meng Li's gaze, Yi Juetian's expression became even darker. He turned his head and looked towards Gong Yu. She lied to me, right? Gong Yu originally planned to hide it, but after seeing Yi Juetian's current state, her heart felt very painful. She directly said, she didn't lie to you. Not long after you left, Yi died. You knew? Yi Juetian asked in disbelief, and his entire body seemed as if it was going to collapse. Back then, Yi had already died once, and it was right in front of his eyes. Luckily, Yi was only out for training and she didn't really die. However, today, it was different. That's right, I know. Zhu Tian. Yi has already died for many years. Gong Yu didn't want to hide it anymore. It was fine if Zhu Tian didn't come back, but ever since he came back yesterday, this question had been lingering in her heart, making her feel very uncomfortable. Yi Juetian slowly let go of Meng Li, then pressed onto Gong Yu's shoulders with his hands. Why? Why didn't you tell me yesterday? You are still the same as before. There isn't a single bit of change in you. Chapter 1355. At night our whole family will be sitting together for dinner. Yi Yan said in a low voice as he walked in the palace with Chuyu. Is there anyone else? Chuyu asked in a low voice. My dad, for moms, my big sister, little brothers and sisters, and also my grandma. Originally my uncle's family would be here as well, but something happened today and it isn't anything good. You will know about it in the future. Yi Yan didn't go into details. This should also be considered as a family scandal. So it's better not to spread it out. This Chuyu is still an outsider, not one of us. Of course, Chuyu knew that Prince Yi had a younger brother, but hearing that there was a scandal, she was also quite curious. Seems like as long as one is a woman, one would have a gossipy heart. However, she was also curious about Yi Yan's brothers and sisters. Prince Ye's son, The situation in your family is indeed a bit complicated. Yi Yan felt a headache. Didn't we agree on how to address each other? Brother Yan, I'm sorry, I'm not used to it. Chiyu said softly, sounding very pleasant. Yi Yan liked this kind of tone, nice to listen to, gentle enough. 100 times gentler than his mother's tone. This kind of tone of yours is really nice to listen to. As a standard scumbag, Yi Yan naturally knew how to coax a girl. However, Chiyu was a child that was a few hundred years old and had a lot of experience. It wasn't like she hadn't seen this kind of scumbag before. Men were all the type of people that talk nonsense, especially people like Yi Yan. They were very unreliable. What kind of tone I use when I speak will depend on what kind of attitude you have. Alright, take it that I didn't say anything. However, can you take off your veil now? Do you want to run in front of my parents like this? Yi Yan was actually very curious about Chiyu's appearance. His aunt said that she was a super beauty, but he didn't know if it was true or not. The custom of my hometown is like this. Girls that are not married cannot take off their veil. Chiyu didn't lie to Yi Yan. This was a custom that couldn't be violated. Then you can't be eating like this too, right? Later on, my parents will definitely ask you to take off your veil. Yi Yan said seriously. After speaking for a while, he continued, if you don't take off your veil, my parents will think that you are not giving them face, and the situation will be even worse. I'll decide based on the situation, Chiyu said helplessly. It doesn't depend on the situation. It has to be. I'm not joking with you. My family isn't as simple as you think, especially when it comes to the marriage of our generation. Yi Yan emphasized again and again. Don't pretend. Don't pretend and cause trouble. Chiyu nodded. I understand. All right, let's go. Yi Yan stretched out his hand and held onto Chiyu's small hand. Feels not bad. Chiyu's small hand is soft, and it feels very comfortable to hold onto. Chiyu frowned but didn't say anything in the end. In order to see the legendary Yi family, the price she paid was quite big. Soon the two of them arrived at Lu Jing's chamber. Chiyu could vaguely see the figures inside and they were all sitting together. Yi Yan was a little nervous. After all, this was a fake. It would be a little difficult to fool his parents. He hoped that nothing would go wrong tonight. Chiyu, hold on. Your palms are sweating. Yi Yan, this Chiyu sure knows how to adjust the atmosphere. Yi Yan became a little more relaxed as he held onto Chiyu's hand and walked into the main hall. Right now, Yi Hua's entire family was sitting together. The atmosphere didn't seem to be very good and no one spoke. Seeing this atmosphere, Yi Yan felt a chill. If I were to be exposed, the situation would become even more depressing. Yi Yan tightened his grip on Chiyu's small hand, seemingly trying to cheer for Chiyu. However, Chiyu was currently even calmer than Yi Yan. To Chiyu, when she saw the legendary Lord Yi and such a large family, her heart surged. Ever since she heard about Yi family, she became incomparably curious. Just what kind of person was able to overthrow the rule of a deity? Look at Lord Yi, that domineering aura between his brows. That is the aura of a ruler that he was born with. Also, the woman beside him, she truly made me feel inferior. This will be my future goal. Grandma, Dad, Mothers, I'm back. Yi Yan stood at the entrance and shouted out respectfully. Chiyu, who was at the side, immediately became nervous because everyone was looking at her. Dong Huangli was also very surprised. This Yan, where did he find such an actress in less than a day's time? Furthermore, he even appeared so mysteriously wearing a veil. Doesn't he know that this is disrespectful? Idiot. Are you trying to make Dad happy or make Dad unhappy? Who dares to wear a veil in front of Dad? Yilu was the same as well. Where did Big Brother find such an actress? It can't be that he bought her with money, right? If Mom were to find out about this, wouldn't she spank your butt? God, he looked at Big Brother and was very confused. How did he suddenly get a girlfriend? Did he hide it so deeply? Lu Xian's thoughts were different. Finally, there is someone that I can communicate with. Lu Jing was of course very happy when she saw this, and she couldn't wait to have a house full of children and grandchildren. Although I can't see the face of the girl, just by standing there I can feel a kind of gentle feeling and even a kind of amiable feeling. This kind of girl is indeed not bad. From the looks of it, her family background should be pretty good. I wonder how does she look like? Yihua looked at Chiyu. Yihua looked at Chiyu. So this is my younger sister's matchmaking? The girl looks not bad, but wearing a veil doesn't seem to be giving me face. As a junior, seeing that an elder is still wearing a veil, Yihua would naturally be a bit unhappy. Yi Yan seemed to be able to sense his father's unhappiness. I knew that this veil shouldn't be worn, but you just didn't listen, stupid woman. Dad, Mom, this is my girlfriend, Chiyu. I was embarrassed to bring her back before, but I finally brought her back today. Don't misunderstand, there is a rule in Chiyu's hometown. Unmarried girls cannot remove their veil. Yi Yan hurriedly explained. I can't let Dad and Mom be unhappy. They were already unhappy to begin with, and if things become worse, that would not be good. Hearing that, Yi Hua asked faintly, unmarried girl? Cannot remove her veil? Yan, in that case even you have never seen her before? Yi Yan was immediately speechless. Dad attacked so quickly. So ferocious. Thus Yi Yan directly touched Chiyu's palm. Who asked you to act cool? Look at what happened now. At this moment Chiyu said respectfully, Prince Yi, Chiyu has been rude, but this is the rule of my hometown. Chiyu can't do anything about it. Brother Yan and I are truly in love with each other, and this is a heart-to-heart communication. Yi Hua knew the inside story, and towards Chiyu's reply he was rather satisfied. However, you two little things, you are actually faking it in such a dignified manner. Chapter 1358. Mom, I am your biological son. I am not that kind of son that is given to you as a gift. Mom, I didn't bully her, she was just pretending. Chiyu slightly lowered her head. I didn't dare, I was afraid that he would hit me. Yi Hua wanted to praise Chiyu. This girl is not bad, this plot is not bad, this is a bit interesting. What? Yan? How can you hit your wife? Other people even gave birth to your child, but your father didn't even do this to you. Yi Hua's expression sunk. Does this count as me being unjustly implicated? Mom, I didn't hit her, I really didn't hit her. Yi Yan hurriedly explained. This old woman. Just you wait for me, young Master Yi. Chiyu revealed out that kind of expression of daring to say but also not daring to say she is simply a drama queen. As expected in Yi family, acting is an essential skill. However, right now Yi Yan was completely speechless. Why is your expression so rich? If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have brought her home even if I was beaten to death. And we have only met for the first time and you already gave your nephew such a big gift. This is simply a huge trap. Chiyu, if you have anything to say, just say it, I want to see how bad this little bastard is. Mom, my God. This feeling is so good that it's going to explode. Dong Huang Baiji was envious, my daughter-in-law hasn't even called me mom yet. Lu Xianer felt a bit dizzy. My God. Just what should I do? God, Yi is the same, big brother is completely stirring up trouble. Dong Huangli was about to roll over from laughing in her heart. This matter is becoming more and more interesting. Good child, Mom will stand up for you. I don't dare, I'm afraid that he will bully me. Ian really wants to bully Chiyu right now. Didn't I just say a few words at my aunt's place, and she is repaying kindness with enmity? Can't she be reasonable? I have even forgotten about it, how can I be reasonable with a woman? Chiyu. Yi Yan gave a serious warning. Don't go overboard. Ian. You sit down. Xianxia shouted out gravely. This is too outrageous to actually shout at a pregnant woman. You are just like your father. Back then, didn't you shout at me like this too? At that time I was also pregnant. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Seeing that his mother was really angry, Yi Yan immediately stopped talking. A good hand had turned into a bad hand. Chiyu seemed to have felt it as well and immediately stopped talking. However, in Xianxia's eyes, Chiyu seemed to be very scared. She is simply like a girl who is being abused at home. She is truly pitiful. She is even more formidable than your father. Figu. Mom, it's nothing. It's really nothing. I'm just talking nonsense. Following Chiyu's explanation, Yi Yan directly covered his forehead. You really want to King kill me? Look at your expression. Xianxia asked gravely. Could it be that he is looking for a girl outside? I've made you angry. He's still looking for girls outside. Chiyu exclaimed. Alright, everyone was speechless. This mother was really good at tricking her son. Poor Yi Yan, what a tragedy. Dong Huangli really wanted to leave the auditorium. She wanted to laugh loudly outside for 5 minutes before coming back in. A smile could be seen on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. This Xianxia, how can you screw your son over like this? Xianxia seemed to have realized it as well and she felt a bit awkward. The atmosphere seemed to have quietened down. Yi Yan hurriedly picked up some food and passed it to Chiyu. My mother is just talking nonsense, be good. Don't be angry. Chiyu turned her head away and ignored Yi Yan. She is simply a movie empress level expert. Even Qing Yutong admires her. Yi Yan secretly pulled Chiyu. meaning that it's enough. Give me a way out of this embarrassing situation. Chiyu naturally knew that it was enough, and she silently picked up her chopsticks. This made everyone let out a sigh of relief. This is much better. Chiyu, eat more, don't be polite. Okay, Mom. Chiyu said tenderly, causing Xianxia to be very happy. This caused Donghuang Baiji to directly look towards her son, seemingly saying, let your wife call me Mom too. What is God Yi trying to do? Zhou Xian had no other choice. I have already boarded the pirate ship. Is there still a chance for me to get off? That is impossible. That is why I have to please my mother-in-law. Mommy. Zhou Xian took the initiative to pick up some food and passed it to Donghuang Baiji, and even called out sweetly, causing Donghuang Baiji to be extremely happy. Good child, you eat more too. What else could Chiyu do? Since others have already done it, although I am pretending, I still have to do it properly. Thus, Chiyu also picked up some food and passed it to Xianxia. Mom, you eat more too. Alright, you are both good children. Xianxia smiled to the point that even her gums were revealed. Yihua shook his head. You two are too exaggerated. But then again, only calling me Mom and not Dad? That means that you are not giving me face. Aren't you afraid that I, the Supreme Overlord, will make things difficult for you too? Dad, you eat more too. Yihua was gratified that the two girls who had never married into his family started to curry favor with him. Of course, there was also Lu Jing. Lu Jing was grinning from ear to ear. The day of having many children and grandchildren is just around the corner. The meal was very harmonious, and Yi Yan's goal was also achieved. Yi Yan felt much more at ease. Father and mother no longer quarreled, and their relationship seemed to have stabilized. Yihua placed down his chopsticks and said faintly, Chiyu, since you are pregnant, take good care of the fetus in the future. One of my subordinates' medical skills is not bad. Let him take a look and prescribe some medicine for you. Yi Yan and Chiyu immediately froze. If this lie is discovered, father will definitely fly into a rage. Not only father, mother will also feel the same way. Just that, the two children still did not know about their father's tricks and were currently frantically thinking about how they are going to get away from this. Dad, the child is very stable right now. It is fine to take a look at the child after a period of time. Chiyu could only stall for time. I never expected that the matter would come to this. Yi Yan hurriedly followed up and said, Dad, what Chiyu said is right, the child is still very healthy right now. No matter how healthy a child is, they still need to take a look at the child. This will allow your mother and I to be at ease. Yihua's words seemed to be correct, causing Yi Yan to have an even bigger headache. Suddenly Yi Yan looked towards his big sister. Dad, big sister's medical skills are not bad, and big sister is also a girl. It will be more convenient for her to take a look at the child. Big sister, I'm sorry. Since you dug a pit for little brother can only dig a pit for you. However, you must definitely help little brother, if not, Daddy will beat the sh*t out of you. Xianxia is definitely the same. It seems a bit inconvenient to let Qingsu go and take a look at the child. Just let Ali go and take a look at Chiyu. Donghuang Baiji smiled tenderly. Donghuang Li nodded her head. Alright, I understand. After eating, I will go and take a look at the child, then tell father and mother about it. Yihua said in a low voice. Alright, I am already full, you two can slowly eat. Following Yihua's decision, Yi Yan said respectfully, Mom, I will bring Chiyu to familiarize herself with the palace first. Big sister, let's take a walk together. Chapter 1359. Donghuang Li let out a light sigh. When you get into trouble, you only know to ask your big sister to clean up after you. Just how old are you now? The three of them walked out of Lu Jing's bedroom. When they thought they were far enough, Yi Yan and Chiyu instantly separated. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Donghuang Li looked at the two of them. The two of them actually have such a tacit understanding with each other. Donghuang Li feels that the two of them are rather compatible with each other. Look at what you just said. I'm about to be scolded to death by my mother. Yi Yan began to lecture his wife. Everyone come and see. Aren't you trying to frame me? When did I have a child with you? I think you're up to no good. How did I not have good intentions? If it wasn't for you messing around, would I have said those words? Do you think that I wanted to? Anyway, it's all your fault. Think of a way yourself. All my fault. Looking at your performance just now, I almost wanted to kneel down and call you Mom, big brother. With a pfft sound, Donghuang Li, who was standing at the side, started laughing. These two people are simply too funny, much more interesting than my little brother and his wife. Sis, why are you still laughing? If you didn't trick me, would I be like this? Are you here to knock her up? Dong Huangli replied, if big sister was a man, I would be very happy to help you, little brother. Yi Yan, Chuyu. Facing such a female hooligan, Yi Yan and Chuyu were speechless. Yi Yan and Chuyu turned their heads and did not look at each other. This angry look was very much like love. He's not dead? Following a voice, the few of them looked into the darkness. Those two ponytails were really iconic. Yi Zizi looked at Chuyu curiously. Didn't he die? Why did it appear again now? Hearing what Yi Zizi said, Dong Huangli and Yi Yan became even more curious about Yi's identity. Just who is Yi? Even Chuyu was very curious. Aunt Zizi, Dong Huangli shouted out sweetly, causing the corner of Yi Zizi's mouth to twitch. As long as Dong Huangli uses this kind of tone to speak to me, something bad will definitely happen. Yi Zizi immediately said, Ali, speak properly. Don't use this tone. Aunt Zizi, can we talk about this girl called Yi? Yi Yan also jumped over and said with a smile, Aunt Zizi, tell us about it. Then who is she? Yi Zizi asked curiously. Yi Yan patted his chest and said, this woman is my woman. 66666. Yi Zizi immediately made a hand gesture to praise Yi. All the men of Yi family, seems like they all have some thoughts about this Yi. Since you want to know so much, let's talk somewhere else, Yi Zizi said softly. Upon hearing that there was hope, everyone immediately ran out of the imperial palace and arrived at a tea house. This decoration is really not bad, it has the style of sci-fi. Dong Huangli muttered while looking at the decoration. I drove it, Yi Zizi said softly. Dong Huangli and Yi Yan immediately rolled their eyes. So Yi Yan is asking us to support him. We are just children, and we are the kind of children who don't have money. So it was opened by Auntie Zizi. How could I accept it? Sorry for making Auntie Zizi spend so much money. You can treat us, Yi Zizi said with a smile. Yi Yan. They walked into the private room on the second floor and the tea was soon served. Just like that, the three stared at Yi Zizi and drank tea. Dong Huangli felt that, in the past, Yi Zizi often played games and drinking tea didn't seem to be Yi Zizi's style. But looking at the current Yi Zizi, the feeling that Yi Zizi is giving people now is just like an adult. And Yi Zizi, just what is going on with that Yi? Yi Zizi took out a lollipop, then stretched it in front of Chuyu. Do you want to eat it? What is this? Lollipop, you liked to eat it a lot in the past. Yi Zizi said softly. Em was very speechless. In the past it was always the uncles who held on to the lollipop and now it is the loli who held on to the lollipop. I have never eaten it in the past. Chuyu said confusedly. That's fine, you can try it. Oh, thank you. Chuyu took the lollipop and it seems like she doesn't know how to peel the lollipop. Ian took the lollipop and peeled off the wrapping paper on the lollipop. Here, eat less of it, your teeth might get cavities. Chuyu placed the lollipop in her mouth and lightly licked it with her tongue. A sweet taste immediately filled her mouth, causing Chuyu to be a bit surprised. Yi Yan wrinkled his brows as he looked at Chuyu's cheeks that were puffing up. You are able to come up with so many tricks to eat a lollipop? I'm afraid that you are crazily licking the lollipop from all directions. You are truly formidable. How is it? Very sweet, very delicious. Chuyu said gently. I don't know what this Auntie Zizi in front of me is trying to do. Seems like it really isn't E, it is a bit of a pity. Yi Zizi let out a light sigh. I and E are connected by the lollipop. If it is E who lost her memory, there would definitely be an abnormal reaction. Chuyu asked curiously, Auntie Zizi, why do you two want E to appear so much? That's right, Auntie Zizi, just who is this E? I can see that both father and mother seem to be a bit sad and regretful. Yi Zizi said gravely, Sai E is also a pitiful woman. Not long after you two left, your father found his biological younger brother. At that time, after settling some matters, your father began to look for a wife for your uncle. Yi Yan clapped his hands. Oh, I got it. E is the wife that father found for my uncle. Oh. Yi Yan. Idiot. Chuyu couldn't help but ridicule, angering Yi Yan to the point that he wanted to hold on to Chuyu and let her know that I am not that easy to bully. Don't think that just because you are pretty I won't scold you. Chuyu. Don't think that just because you have pretty eyes I don't dare to glare at you. Humph, the two of you be quiet, don't talk. Dong Huangli said petulantly. If the two of you want to quarrel, go back to your room and quarrel. After finished speaking, Dong Huangli asked curiously, "Then uncle's blind date is?" That's right, in actuality your uncle had already met with Yi a few days before the blind date, and both of them seemed to have developed a good impression of each other. And because your uncle was afraid that he would anger your father, he could only go along with Yi's wishes. That's why he chose Gong Yu to come over. In the end, Gong Yu is actually quite pitiful, mysteriously coming to this unfamiliar place. Then why didn't uncle bring Yi to father? Yi Yan asked curiously. Yi Zizi laughed lightly, then took a sip of tea. They are well matched in terms of social status. Yi is just an ordinary person, other than being pretty, there is nothing else about her. Meanwhile, Gong Yu is someone that was meticulously chosen by your father, and naturally she meets all of his requirements. Furthermore, before this, it was also your uncle who requested for the blind date. Chapter 1360. The children understood. When uncle didn't have a wife, he asked his father to introduce Yi to him, but when his father had already started, he bumped into Yi. After that, uncle didn't dare to tell his father about it, so he could only brace himself and introduce Yi to him. After hearing this, Chuyu seemed to have gained a better understanding of Yi family. I didn't expect that there would be such gossip in Yi family. And then, did uncle abandon Yi? Yi Yan hurriedly asked. After all, judging from the current situation, Yi was definitely an abandoned person. After all, Yi was left behind by Gong Yu and Yi even had a child. Yi Zizi slowly told Yi Yan about what happened back then. The three youngsters were very fascinated by the story. Yi Zizi even added a sad tone into the story, making it seem as if it was a tragic story. Looking at Chuyu, she had already cried. Even Dong Huang Li's eyes were red. Yi Yan slightly lowered his head, seemingly wiping the corners of his eyes. This kid has grown up, he likes to cry when he hears touching things. This is simply an eternal love story. All kinds of scenes of torturing people, this is too tragic. Yi is simply too tragic. Dong Huangli finally understood why uncle was so emotional today. So there was actually such a thing in the story. It would be great if they could be together. Chu said in a low voice. It is such a pity, two people who could clearly love each other ended up as strangers, and they didn't even have the chance to bid farewell to each other. Yi Zizi said faintly, some things cannot be forced, your uncle was also at fault back then, he wasn't a man enough, he was afraid of this and that, causing Yi to suffer. Now that Yi is gone, don't mention it anymore. Dong Huangli and the others sat for a while digesting this tragedy, then took their leave. The three walked on the street. They seemed to still be immersed in the story. Yi Yan and Chuyu walked side by side and unknowingly, Yi Yan held onto Chuyu's little hand. Chuyu seemed to be thinking about a problem and didn't resist. Just like that, the two returned to the palace hand in hand. After returning to the palace, Dong Huangli smiled and said, after hearing a story, your fingers are tightly clasped. Damn it, Chuyu. You're taking advantage of me. Yi Yan reacted and immediately flung Chuyu's hand away. Chuyu's gaze turned cold. Say that again. Tisk. Yi Yan expressed, I can't be bothered to lower myself to your level. Alright, it's already quite late, the two of you should go back and rest. I will go and talk to mom and dad, however I can only hide this matter from mom and dad for a short period of time. In the future the two of you can deal with it as you see fit. After Dong Huangli finished speaking, she waved her hand and left, leaving behind two people who were not pleasing to the eye. Hey, Chu suddenly shouted. I don't have a name. Who was Auntie Zizi just now? Chu asked curiously. Not telling you. Ian, how can you be like this? You clearly promised me. Chu said angrily. She couldn't help but step forward, preparing to pinch him. This pinching action was really a woman's instinctive action. No matter who it was, they all knew how to pinch. Faster, Xikemi. If you really pinch me, see if I don't mess with you. Come on, I'll tell your mom. You shameless. You're the shameless one. I can't be bothered with you. I'm going back to sleep. After saying that, Yi Yan walked into his bedroom. This made Chu Xing stomp his feet in anger and he helplessly followed in. The two of them entered the house. At the same time, their gazes landed on the only bed in the house, and they took a look at each other. It's time for me to display my strength. Mom, why did you come? Chu Xing cried out in surprise. Yi Yan subconsciously turned his head around to take a look, and the door was tightly shut. However, when he turned his head around, Chu Xing was already lying on the bed, tightly hugging onto the blanket. Chu Xing. What? You have the nerve to snatch my bed. What's there to be embarrassed about? You go and find a place to sleep. I'm tired. You old woman. Chu Xing. Yi Yan. You're the old woman. Xianxia, you're already more than 100 years old and you're still trying to act young? You old cow, do you still want to gnaw on a young grass like me? You. I shouldn't have come with you. Liar. After saying that, Chu Xing covered her mouth, and her tone seemed to be choking with sobs. This caused Yi Yan to go into a daze. Can't be, she's crying just like that. She's definitely acting and she still doesn't know you. It's impossible for me, young Master Yi, to coax you. However, the blanket was still slightly trembling, and sobbing sounds could be heard from time to time. Alright, I admit defeat. Yi Yan said helplessly. No matter what, the other party is helping me. I shouldn't bully the other party. You're just like your uncle. I came to your place alone. I'm unfamiliar with this place and I still have to be bullied by you. Hearing that, Yi Yan felt a headache coming on. Is there anyone who randomly accuses me like this? I was wrong, don't be angry, alright? I'll tell you then, Aunt Zizi is my dad's subordinate and my dad has a lot of subordinates. Yi Yan could only give her some benefits to prevent this old woman from getting angry. As expected, after hearing the answer, Chu Xing became a lot quieter, and didn't seem to be that angry anymore. Aren't you going to take a shower before going to sleep? You're so dirty. Yi Yan couldn't help but say. Chu Xing finally came out from the blanket. I smell very good, I don't need to take a shower. You don't like cleanliness. You are the one who doesn't like cleanliness. After speaking, Chu Xing got up from the bed and didn't forget to warn Yi Yan. Don't snatch my bed, if not you will be finished. Hey. I'm a man, would I snatch something from you? Chu Xing snorted, then went to take a shower. After a long time, Chu Xing finished taking a shower, and when she came out of the bathroom, the corner of her mouth twitched. Yi Yan. You are not a man. What answered her was a snore. Bastard. You are infuriating me. Chu Xing said angrily, then walked to the side of the bed and shook it with all her might. Get up, bastard, you lied to me. It's impossible to wake up a person who is pretending to be asleep. Chu Xing had no choice but to sit at the table and drink tea to calm down. Perhaps it was because she was too tired she actually fell asleep on the table. Yi Yan, who was on the bed, secretly took a look at Chu Xing. This woman actually fell asleep. Forget it, Yi Yan, am also a man who has tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex. Yi Yan walked down the bed and carried Chu Xing up. Take note, it's still a princess carry. Then Yi Yan lightly placed Chu Xing on the bed and covered her with the blanket. Yi Yan took a closer look at Chu Xing's face, and it is indeed beautiful. If he also looks like this, it's no wonder that my uncle is so infatuated with her, it's understandable. Suddenly, Chu Xing, who was sleeping soundly, opened her eyes, giving Yi Yan a fright. Youngster, you are still a bit inexperienced. Good night, you old woman. To actually lie to me. Same to you, be quiet, I am going to sleep. Just you wait. What else could Yi Yan do? After taking a shower, he immediately made a bed on the floor, and when he returns home he doesn't even have a bed. However, just as Yi Yan was about to sleep, a knock on the door rang out. Chapter 1361. Yi Yan's soul was almost scared to death. Yan, are you asleep? Damn, it's actually my mother who came. Yi Yan and Chiyu looked at each other. What to do? I am asleep. What else could Yi Yan shout? He could only make up a story. Then Mom is coming in. Xianxia pretended not to hear, she just wanted to see if these two kids were real or fake. Yi Yan immediately panicked. Mom is really making things difficult for her son. But if it was any other boy, this is simply the most powerful mom. To be able to have such a mom is simply a super benefit. Yi Yan kept the mattress on the floor and directly got into the quilt. Chiyu looked at Yi Yan's movements that were like flowing water and had a dumbfounded look on her face. At this moment, Xianxia walked in and directly looked at the bed. Mom. Yi Yan shouted unhappily, as if I, your son, am doing something and you rushed in. Where is Chiyu? Because Chiyu was sleeping inside, Xianxia didn't see her and thought that Chiyu wasn't there at all. However, at this moment, Chiyu was very sensible and stretched out her little head with a red face. Mom. Since you guys are already asleep, Mom won't come in. Xianxia was happy, this shouldn't be wrong, right? Yi Yan was about to roll his eyes, it was clearly Mom who barged in, and you are actually still making sarcastic remarks. Mom, you should sleep early. Hey Yan, you need to take care of Chiyu, understand? Don't bully others, you need to act like a husband, don't learn from your father. Xianxia still had to carefully instruct, especially not to learn from your father. Mom, I understand. I really feel sorry for Chuyu. After speaking, Yi Yan hugged onto Chuyu's shoulder, just that Chuyu directly bit onto Yi Yan's shoulder, causing him to frown in pain. Xianxia smiled and did not say anything, then closed the door. Xianxia, who was standing outside, let out a long sigh. Once upon a time we also quarreled like this, just that this kind of quarreling has now become an extravagant hope. Should I go back tonight? I really don't know. When Yi Yan heard the sound of his mother leaving, he finally felt relieved. You still aren't letting go. Pervert. Yi Yan hurriedly let go and jumped off the bed. Who is a pervert in that situation just now? I could only do that. Otherwise we will be exposed. In any case, you are a hooligan. I don't want to see you. Chuyu's back was facing Yi Yan and her tone seemed to be really angry. No matter what, Yi Yan was a scumbag-level expert. He had kissed a few hundred times and his excuse for breaking up was enough to make a person go crazy. Of course, his skill in coaxing a girl was rather brilliant. Faced with a girl like Chuyu, Yi Yan felt that he could make her smile at any time. Honey, go to hell. Who's your wife? Chuyu became even angrier. This shameless person. Sob, sob, sob. I don't care. You're my wife. It wasn't easy to trick you. You can't run away. Chuyu's face darkened. The scoundrel bastard. I'll tell your parents. C. Wait, I'm joking. Didn't you hear my tone just now? Yi Yan felt the air turn awkward. Can you grow some brains? Please, can't you be a little more serious? How can you joke like that? How boring. Chuyu glanced at Yi Yan before lying down again. Yi Yan felt a headache while holding on to her. I can't compare this woman with other women. I still have to use some tricks. After quite a while, Yi Yan curled up on the ground. So cold. So cold. Of course, Chuyu didn't fall asleep so quickly. After all, it was her first time sleeping in the same room as a man and she was a bit nervous. More than that, she was worried. Who knows if Yi Yan would do something worse than a beast later on. So cold, you're going to die from the cold. Chuyu muttered. However, she felt that the temperature here was indeed very low. Especially late at night, the temperature was around -10+°C. This bed seems to have a heating function, but the floor doesn't have any heating function. Woman, you don't have a bit of sympathy at all. Yi Yan said while shivering. This won't do. You don't have a bit of sympathy at all. Any woman wouldn't have the heart to let me, young Master Yi, sleep on the floor. Chuyu laughed softly. That would depend on who it is. I don't want to talk to you right now. Yi Yan snorted proudly. Did I whet your appetite enough? Are you going to invite me to your bed? Let me tell you, I will put on an act and refuse, making it seem like I am very reserved. I will definitely not be impatient. Come, invite me. I am already prepared to accept your invitation. How about you change to another room? Yi Yan, this woman's way of thinking can't be decided by common sense. Don't talk to me. What are you doing, getting angry just like this? You don't have any manliness at all. K. Can't a man get angry? What does this have to do with manliness? You women are simply the kings of T. Can you be even more ridiculous? However, after a long time, Yi Yan still didn't hear Chuyu's words. This woman is really ignoring me. K. I told you to ignore me and you just ignore me. What a headache. Under this kind of unwillingly situation, Yi Yan gradually fell asleep. The temperature in the room was indeed very low, and Yi Yan seemed to be intentionally letting himself catch a cold, not resisting the cold. However, Chuyu, who was on the bed, threw out a gentle beam of light, enveloping Yi Yan. Yi Yan, who was sleeping, could feel the warmth. It was very comfortable, as if he had fallen into his wife's embrace. The night quietly dispersed and it was another beautiful breakfast. Yi Yan let out a yawn, then slowly opened his eyes. Where am I? Suddenly he recalled his current situation. This woman on the bed actually ignored me. Could it be that there is a problem with my charm? In the past I have tried it 100% of the time. It doesn't exist. It must be caused by a little mistake in my operation. Looking at Chuyu, who was sleeping soundly on the bed, Yi Yan quietly crawled into the blanket, then pretended that nothing had happened and continued to sleep. Not knowing how long he slept for, Yi Yan only felt that his neck was a bit cold. Yi Yan opened his eyes and took a look. What are you doing? Chuyu could be seen holding onto a dagger. Her eyes were completely red, and the dagger was placed on Yi Yan's neck. You despicable man, you actually insulted me. Yi Yan hurriedly explained. I didn't insult you, I really didn't. Then why did you come to the bed? Tell me. If you don't tell me clearly, I will kill you. I also know that even if I kill you, I won't be able to get out, so I will kill myself. I will definitely not accept this kind of insult. Chapter 1362. What an unyielding woman. Yi Yan suddenly discovered that Chuyu was quite interesting, and suddenly he had an idea. That's right. Since it has already come to this, if you want to kill someone, then kill me. Yi Yan closed his eyes. This is also a gamble. If this woman makes a move, I will be dead, but if she doesn't make a move, then she will definitely fall in love with me. Suddenly Yi Yan felt a chill on his neck. Wait. Yi Yan hurriedly stopped the other party's crazy actions. Alright. This woman's description made me Yi Yan completely unable to guess. It is truly terrifying. Do you have any last words? Chuyu said with reddened eyes. I didn't expect that Yi Yan was actually this kind of person. Yi Yan's brain was thinking frantically. I have to think of a method now. Seems like I can only take out my trump card. Chuyu, do you know why I want to obtain you? Because you are a scoundrel. Wrong. Old pervert. Wrong. Pervert. Yi Yan. Chuyu, because I am afraid of losing you. Yi Yan shouted out gravely. His acting skills were instantly displayed. That angry expression, that heavy and sorrowful voice, and that superb appearance, any woman would instantly faint. Too enchanting. It's fine, I am not afraid. Yi Yan, the hell, our thoughts are not on the same channel at all. But I am afraid. Could it be that you still don't understand my feelings? Yi Yan pressed onto Chuyu's shoulders with both of his hands. His saliva almost spurted out. So awkward. Looking at Chuyu's disgusted expression, Yi Yan felt. Chuyu snorted coldly. Your feelings, isn't it because you want to obtain me? Yes. I want to obtain you. But that is because I like you. That is why I want to obtain you. Yi Yan shook Chuyu's shoulders and shouted out with a pleading expression. Truly touching. Chuyu went into a daze for a moment. Although it was only for a moment, Yi Yan saw an opportunity. It is not that I, scumbag Yi, am bragging, but this woman is already starting to fall. Look at my Lord Ye's coquettish operation. Chuyu, I just want to obtain your attention, arguing with you, bringing you home and saying that you have a child. It is all to obtain your attention. Yi Yan discovered that Chuyu's small face was getting redder and redder. My God. Look at this shy look, it is so cute. You bastard. You actually set me up from the start. You even made it sound so fresh and refined. Yi Yan, I set the pace, but you purposely mess it up. Are you sent by the heavens to punish me? Looks like I really have to use my killing move. And it was the kind of explosive. It's not that I, the scumbag Yi, am bragging, but no woman can withstand this move. Remember, it could be any woman. Yi Yan used the move of a hungry wolf pouncing on fire, very much like his father. However, no matter what, his father's luck was much better than his son's. Because Yi Yan discovered that a sharp dagger was really aiming at his lamp wick. You want to come again? By God. I'm not going to play anymore, I didn't touch you. Yi Yan was truly at his wit's end. This woman is really stubborn. You're trying to trick me again. My imperial mother said. If a man and a woman sleep together, they will have children. Yi Yan was immediately stupefied. He wanted to be her biology teacher and tell her how to have a child. She was already over 100 years old, yet she was still so pure. Just thinking about it made one's hair stand on end. Q, let me give you a lesson. What do you mean? You have to do this in order to have a child. I will give you a dynamic demonstration. You have to cooperate with me. Alright, if you dare to trick me, you are dead meat. I will also commit suicide. Humph. The hell, is she so easy to trick? Lie down properly first. Chuyu really did obediently lie down properly. This made Yi Yan laugh wildly in his heart. However, just when Yi Yan was about to guide her, the door was suddenly pushed open. Yan, Dad asked me to call you two to go eat breakfast. Dong Huangli shouted out. When she saw the scene on the bed, she went into a daze. Aren't these two acting? This is too realistic. They are really planning to have a child. Chuyu's face flushed red and she subconsciously kicked Yi Yan. Hiss hiss. Yi Yan's scalp was about to fall off. This kick of hers nearly extinguished my lamp wick. Dong Huangli felt pain just by looking at it. Too savage. You two quickly wake up. After finished speaking, Dong Huangli left. In the future when I come in, I still have to knock on the door. Right now, I am already a grown-up, I am not a child anymore. After Dong Huangli left, Yi Yan's lips were trembling. You are so ruthless. I didn't do it on purpose. Chuyu said embarrassedly, then immediately ran away. I am really down on my luck of 8 lifetimes. Yi Yan endured that empty pain and got off the bed. If time could go back, I wouldn't sleep on the bed even if I was beaten to death. After a while, the two walked into the palace and neither of them spoke. Are you all right? Chuyu couldn't help but ask with concern. If something happened to me, you wouldn't be able to escape either. Who asked you to act recklessly? You don't even know your limits when you are joking. Who knew that your reaction would be so big? This is my normal reaction, okay? Chuyu said helplessly. Who asked you to act recklessly? I don't want to talk to you. Yi Yan turned his head away. I really can't afford to offend her. Yi Yan, a dignified scumbag, a devil, actually lost, and so thoroughly too. If you don't want to talk, then don't talk. Chuyu pouted. The two didn't speak along the way and arrived at Lu Jing's bedroom. Yi Yan first observed his parents' expressions. Luckily, their expressions are normal. If that's the case, I can be at ease. I didn't pay such a painful price in vain. Chuyu, did you sleep well last night? Dong Huang Baiji asked with concern. And it was very fragrant. Chuyu adjusted her state of mind and said gently. However, right now Yi Yan was thinking in his heart. This Chuyu is a tough woman, this weak appearance of hers is all a lie. Yan, what happened to your neck? Qingya looked at the red mark on her son's neck and asked curiously. Yi Hua said faintly, Qingya, this is our sons and daughter-in-law's bedroom matters, why are you asking so much? Everyone, Chuyu's face had already turned red and even Yi Yan's face had turned red. Bedroom matters, my god. This word is simply too dirty. Everyone take a seat. Lu Jing said with a benevolent smile. Yi Yan and Chuyu sat down awkwardly. Yi Hua said faintly, Yan, Chuyu is still pregnant, you have to bear with it, understand? Everyone, also Shin, although it is important to give birth to a child, you also have to take care of your body. God Yi and Lu Xian who were at the side immediately felt the same as Yi Yan. Chapter 1363. Daji, let the blood demons serve the dishes to nourish their bodies. Yi Hua said again. He didn't expect that his son would actually turn the act into reality. Not bad. Sometimes turning the act into reality was also a beautiful method. Thinking back to the past. Let's not think back to the past, there is nothing much to think about in the past, they are all the same, inflated. This meal was as awkward as it could get. Of course the ones who were awkward were Yi Yan and God Yi, but it would be fine once they got used to it. However, just as everyone was eating, 3 figures unexpectedly appeared at the entrance of the restaurant. Yi Hua, who was sitting at the main seat, slightly raised his head and took a look, then continued to eat his porridge. Even Lu Jing took a look inside softly. Only Chen Yuqing smiled faintly and said, It's good that you are back. Quickly sit down and eat together. That's right, the ones who came back were naturally Yi Juetian, Gong Yu and the child. However, Yi Juetian being able to coax his wife and child back was a huge loss. It was as if he was praying to the Bodhisattva. This made Gong Yu feel very happy. After all, this was the first time Yi Juetian begged her to return home, and he even promised a lot of things. However, Gong Yu was still too young. This man's promise, TSK, it can change at any time. Mother, big brother, sisters-in-law. Yi Juetian said respectfully. Actually, he had thought through some problems back then. He had indeed been biased against Gong Yu. He didn't think from Gong Yu's point of view and he even hit Gong Yu. Is this something a man should do? Even beasts wouldn't do this. That's why. Towards Yi Juetian being able to bring Gong Yu and the child back, everyone was still very happy. Right now, Chuyu curiously turned her head around, wanting to take a look at Prince Ye's little brother. However, when Chuyu turned her head around, Yi Juetian and Gong Yu were immediately stunned. Yi came back? Yi didn't die? These questions lingered in Yi Juetian and Gong Yu's mind. How is this possible? Right now Yi Juetian's mind was completely blank again, and he even walked towards Chuyu step by step. Chuyu was startled and she subconsciously held on to Yi Yan's hand. Because this uncle's gaze is so. I can't say for sure, but it is filled with either deep longing or fear. Yi Yan could be seen standing in front of Chuyu and said with a smile, Uncle, this is my wife, Chuyu. Following Yi Yan's words, Yi Juetian stopped in his tracks. Chuyu? You're not Yi? Yes, uncle. My name is Chuyu, brother Yan's wife. Chuyu spoke quite smoothly now, but her words made Yi Juetian's mind go blank. Chuyu, hello. Yi Juetian took a deep look at Chuyu, then took a few steps back, held Gong Yu's hand and sat down. This scene seemed a little strange. Yi Hua placed down the spoon and said faintly, "Since you are already back, then live your life properly. Don't think too much." Yi Hua was also warning Yi Juetian that Chuyu was Chuyu, and Yi was Yi, the two must not be confused. This is your nephew's woman. Don't have any crooked thoughts. Otherwise, even the gods won't be able to save you. Yi Juetian nodded and said sincerely, "Big brother, I understand. I won't make the same mistake again in the future." After Gong Yu got over her shock, she felt touched. Just now, Yi Juetian clearly had a reaction. Seems like Yi is an existence that can't be dispelled in Yi Juetian's heart. What can I do? Since things have come to this, I can only take one step at a time. If Er dares to bully me again, then I really won't come back anymore. I will bring Yer away from this sad place. Yi Yan let out a breath. No matter what, I was the one who brought her back. I can't let her suffer a loss. Although this Chuyu looks like Yi, she isn't Yi. Therefore I, Yi Yan, have to protect others. But then again, Chuyu's small hands are really soft and they are super easy to touch. I want to touch them even more than the girls in the past. Should I be serious for once? No, I, Yi Yan, am also a man who pays attention to detail. I promised to be a scumbag, so how can I go back on my words? Just as Yi Yan was about to say a few words, Wei Cheng's voice rang out in his mind. Your Honor, subordinate has something to report. What is it? Yi Hua asked indifferently. This was also the tone that had never changed for hundreds of years. After all, there were only a few things that would cause Yi Hua's emotions to fluctuate, for example, the women beside him. This is regarding the matter regarding Little Honorable. Them? Yi Hua asked confusedly. Looking at my 4 children, could it be that they caused some sort of trouble? That's right, Meridian Break Sect and God Academy have already gone crazy looking for Little Honorable. However, I have no idea who secretly reported that Little Honorable was kidnapped and brought to Wushu Empire. Oh? There is such a thing? Then what are they planning to do? Are they planning to kill their way over, or are they planning to put up a strong protest? Your Honor, we do not know for the time being, but it is very likely that they will take extreme actions. Wei Chong said respectfully. However, his tone did not have the slightest bit of fluctuation. Even if you take extreme actions, so what? No matter how extreme your actions are, can they be as extreme as our Wushu Empire? Yi Hua laughed lightly, causing everyone to feel very puzzled. Let's see what actions they will take then. After being bored for more than 10 years, it seems like there are people stirring up trouble again. However, Wei Chong was still a bit worried as he asked in a low voice. Your Honor, in a sense they are also Little Honorable's teachers. If we were to kill them directly, will Little Honorable have any thoughts about it? I reckon that Little Honorable won't have any thoughts about it, but this matter will be buried deep in their hearts. In the end, being a father is not easy. There are simply too many things that one has to consider, and one cannot be too selfish and only think about revenge. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. In the past, when I was all alone, all I could think about in my mind was how to torture my enemies, and I would even think of different ways to torture them. However, ever since I met Xianxia, my world seems to have changed. Xianxia is simply a little demoness that torments people. Your Honor has indeed become a single person. Yi Hua said coldly. Are you saying that I wasn't a single person in the past? Subordinate doesn't dare. Subordinate will go and inquire about the news right now. Go. After ending the call with Wei Chong, Yi Hua slightly narrowed his eyes. What's wrong? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Don't look at how it was just a question. This was also giving Yi Hua face, and it could be considered as a kind of taking the initiative to admit one's mistake. Yi Hua said faintly. It's about the matter between Meridian Break Sect and Deity Academy. Although the children didn't ask, all of them looked over at Yi Hua in unison. In their eyes, the children can be considered to have gone missing. I have no idea who leaked the news, but they said that our Wushu Empire kidnapped the children. Right now, they are currently planning on whether they should use negotiation to get the children back, or extreme methods to get the children back. Chapter 1364. To be honest, the children didn't really wish to see a fight. After all, they had lived in that place for more than 10 years. Even if it was a lump of iron, they would still have feelings. They still hoped that their father would be able to let them off the hook. What if they come? Xianxia asked. Her tone wasn't as aggressive as before. Most likely, it was because she was happy. That would depend on themselves. Life and death will be up to them to choose. Yihua said faintly, then stood up and left. In this family, Yihua's words were always the loudest. Even Lu Jing wouldn't say something like that sometimes. This was a dictator, a domineering CEO series. Girls loved it the most. That was why Chuyu and Lu Xian felt that their father was so cool. Alright, now even their father is being called. However, right now the two big shots from Shin Academy and Meridian Break Sect were discussing whether to negotiate or to take extreme measures. Meridian Break Sect's big shot was still Chong Hen, but Shin Academy's big shot Tai He had already gone missing for many years. In the beginning, everyone had been searching for him, but in the end they gave up. However, Shin Academy couldn't afford to lose its dean. In the end, it was the vice dean who became the dean. This person's name was Chong Qing, and he was a middle-aged man. His appearance was similar to Pan An's, and that handsomeness. This was the charm of a middle-aged man, and the young ladies were simply unable to resist it. Especially that silver hair on his head. It simply made this Dean Chong Qing even more charming. Shin Academy inside the dean's office. The two big shots were really actively negotiating. From what I see, this Wushu Empire is too arrogant. It wasn't easy for two new stars to appear in our south, and they actually kidnapped them. This is simply too despicable. We can't just let this go. Chong Hen gritted his teeth in anger. When he thought about Dong Huang Li's insane medical skills and God Ye's unique power, he wished that he could go and rescue them right now. Even when he was sleeping at night, he would still dream of the two youngsters being hung up, beaten, and interrogated. He didn't even get to eat a hot meal. The pain in his heart. It was simply heart-wrenching. Chong Qing slowly poured a cup of hot tea for Chong Hen, then said lightly, "Sect Master, don't be anxious, the current situation is still unclear. This Wushu Empire is already second to none in the north. Without a bit of strength, I'm afraid that it would be impossible." Chong Qing, could it be that you are going to watch as they are hung up and beaten? They are still children. Chong Hen shouted out angrily. Yi Yan and Yi Lu are both very smart. Even if they are kidnapped, they will try their best to escape. However, at this point Chong Qing's calm eyes turned cold. The disciple of my evergreen isn't someone who can be touched by anyone. Chong Hen nodded and took a sip of the hot tea in his hand. So we should go and get him. Now that the entire South knows about it, if we don't do anything, we'll be laughed at. It's only natural that we want him, but before that we still have to warn him. What do you mean? Shall we send someone over to explain? That's right. This can be considered as peaceful measures before resorting to force. Enduring Hatred thought for a moment and shook his head. I don't think that's necessary. Let's just go and get him. If you don't give it to us, we'll do it. Isn't this a little too extreme? Evergreen asked doubtfully. Extreme? My lungs are about to explode from anger. This is already a very rational thing to do. Chong Hen said indignantly. From the looks of it, Chong Hen was also extremely biased towards Dong Huang Li and God Yi. After all, for so many years, the medicinal herbs that Dong Huang Li needed were all arranged by Chong Hen. Chong Hen could be said to be extremely doting towards Dong Huang Li. Therefore, how could he not be angry? Although Evergreen looked indifferent, in his heart he was about to explode from anger. He watched them grow up as if they were his own children. How could he not be angry? He was simply about to explode from anger. Evergreen slowly closed his eyes. After a long time he said lightly, "Since that's the case, then let's do it. We will directly go and get him." Alright. You and I have already arranged everything. If we don't give him to him, then we will directly kill him. Don't think that we are easy to bully. Evergreen nodded his head. These two are indeed ruthless people. They decided such a big matter in just a few minutes. However, right at this moment, a voice rang out from outside the door. "Dean, people from Abyss City are here." Evergreen and Chong Hen went into a daze. They took a look at each other. What are people from Abyss City doing here? Abyss City, that was the water city in the past. However, ever since there was no water, it was renamed to Abyss City. This name is rather fitting. Abyss is indeed very, very deep. Let them in. Evergreen said faintly. Soon after, he sat cross-legged on the main seat, and Chong Hen also sat on the side seat. 3 people could be seen slowly walking in, and the man leading the group was none other than Qi Shuwen. It was none other than Qi Shuwen. This man who possesses the system. Of the 2 people walking at the side, one was Long Outyen, who killed people with his left hand and saved people with his right hand, and the other person was naturally Ju Yi. Don't look down on Qi Shuwen right now. After 12 years of hard work, Qi Shuwen had already become a supreme-level expert, and he had even exchanged a lot of treasures from the system. I feel that it is time for me to come out of seclusion. During these 12 years, Long Outyan was also the same. He had practically trained with his life on the line. Right now he was also a supreme-level expert and he definitely had the ability to protect his family. This time, when Qi Shuwen said that he wanted to help, Long Outyan agreed without hesitation. If it wasn't for the place that Qi Shuwen had arranged for him, he would still be running away. Jiu Yi, who was at the side, had also been training crazily these few years. With Qi Shuwen's help he had also reached supreme level, but he was still weaker than the other two. But no matter how weak he was still a supreme level expert. Jiu Yi seemed to know that this trip was a bit dangerous, so he didn't bring Xiao Bao along. After all, Xiao Bao was already old now. It had been 12 years since Xiao Bao came, and a golden retriever's lifespan would only be around that much. No matter what, Jiu Yi wouldn't let Xiao Bao leave his side. This golden retriever was Jiu Ye's family. I am Qi Shuwen from Abyss City. I pay my respects to the two supreme-level experts. Qi Shuwen cupped his hands and said politely. After all these years, Qi Shuwen had long understood a principle: the bird that sticks out will be shot. Even if you have a sharp edge, you still have to hold it in. I am Long Outyan. Jiu Yi is still the most awesome, as expected of a big shot. Evergreen asked lightly, may I know what business the people from Abyss City have with me? This Meridian Break sect and Shin Academy didn't get along with Abyss City to begin with, and now that they suddenly came to visit, it was already good that they didn't chase them out. We are naturally here to provide help. Qi Shuwen said with a slight smile. Help? Evergreen asked in confusion. Those three old farts from Abyss City didn't come and instead they sent a young man like you out. What is the meaning of this? Chapter 1365. Qi Shuwen nodded his head. Voidless Empire. I have heard of it long ago, and even earlier I have also heard of this place called Voidless Realm. Voidless Realm? Chongqing and Chonghen were puzzled. Long Outyan didn't know about Voidless Realm. After all, back then he had always been watched by Death Assassin. What kind of place is this Voidless Realm? Chonghen asked doubtfully. What does it have to do with Voidless Empire? From what you said, these two seem to be related. Do you have any proof? Just because their names are similar? Chongqing asked indifferently. He didn't really mind this kind of coincidence. Qi Shuwen laughed, then raised his head slightly and said, I don't know how powerful that Voidless Realm is, but no one can shake it. Furthermore, this Voidless Empire became the strongest in the north in a short 12 years. How can they do that without strength? So, you think that we aren't their match? Chongqing's tone was a bit deep. Anyone with discerning eyes would know that Chongqing was definitely angry. Qi Shuwen shook his head. That's not it. The strength of Meridian Break Sect and Deity Academy is known by the entire South. I have some conflict with that Voidless Realm. Regardless of whether you all believe it or not, my intuition is telling me that there is definitely a connection between us. After hearing that, Chongqing and Chonghen took a look at each other. These few people are quite strong. If they join us, it will be the icing on the cake. Can also be counted as a kind of insurance. With the three of us joining us, we will definitely be able to get twice the result with half the effort. Qi Shuwen added. He had waited for this moment for a long time. As for why he had such a huge amount of resentment, even Qi Shuwen himself didn't know. In any case, Qi Shuwen only knew one thing. Back then, if not for Voidless Realm, he wouldn't have come here. It was all because of Voidless Realm that forced him to come here. That smoking man, and Voidless Realm's Empress. Back then he swore that he would definitely trample on Voidless Realm and ruthlessly trample on Voidless Realm. I want everyone to know that I, Qi Shuwen, am the true overlord. Long Outyan had a stupefied look on his face. He didn't have much feelings towards hatred. Right now he just wanted to live a good life with his family. As for helping Qi Shuwen this time, it was also to return a favor. Lord Jiu was the same. He was already old. How could he still be in the mood to engage in such a fight? Back then Voidless Realm had already experienced it. Voidless Realm was practically a graveyard. Voidless Realm sent several 100,000 people to go there, and in the end, before they could even see the door of Voidless Realm, all of them died in battle. Just thinking about it made one's hair stand on end. If he was given another choice, he definitely wouldn't do that. It was simply digging his own grave. As for whether or not this Voidless Empire is Voidless Realm or not, Jiu Yi doesn't know. If it is, Then I can only be considered to be out of luck, and not bringing Xiaobao along with me is also a wise decision. Everlasting Hatred stood up, looked at Qi Shuwen and the others and said, "You can join us, but this time our Broken Meridian Sect and Divine Academy are in charge. You cannot act on your own. Do you understand what I mean?" Changhen was also afraid that Qi Shuwen would make trouble. At that time the Meridian Breaking Sect and the Xin Academy would be blamed. Then the loss would outweigh the gain. Of course. Qi Shuwen readily agreed. Evergreen issued a stern warning. "If you dare to act recklessly, we will not fear the Abyss City. And you can rest assured. Qi Shuwen will not do such a thing. That is naturally for the best." Evergreen said lightly. The meaning behind his words was that he wanted to send them off. Qi Shuwen naturally understood what Evergreen meant. He smiled and said, "Then I won't disturb the two of you from discussing matters. I will just send someone to inform you when the time comes." "All right." After finished speaking, Qi Shuwen, Long Aotian and Jiu Yi walked out of the dean's office. There was no one beside Long Aotian. Long Aotian asked curiously, "Brother Qi, just what is this voidless realm and voidless empire?" "And you don't know?" Jiu Yi had a look of looking at Long Aotian as if Long Aotian was an alien. At that time everyone knew about it. Even Qi Shuwen felt that Long Aotian was living in a paradise. "I am ashamed to talk about it. Back then, because of some matters, I had to live in the mountains with Meng Meng for many years. Thus, I know nothing about the outside world." Long Aotian said embarrassedly. "Back then I tried to snatch a woman from someone else and in the end I was killed by that person instead. However, even if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have been able to meet Meng Meng and turn a bad thing into a good thing." Qi Shuwen laughed lightly. "So that's the case. The two of you sure love each other, enjoying the life of a paradise." Qi Shuwen, who didn't understand the situation, thought that the two of them did it on purpose. However, Jiu Yi didn't think so. Back then Long Aotian was still very arrogant. This time, after meeting Long Aotian seemed to have changed into a completely different person. "However, Shuwen, that voidless realm is not a charity. Are you sure that voidless empire and voidless realm are the same?" Jiu Yi asked gravely. "This isn't a joke, this might just be a suicide question." Qi Shuwen took a deep breath. "Jiu Yi, putting aside all these, do you think that we are still the same as back then? Do you know what supreme martial artist is? The kind that can walk unhindered in the world like a crab." "Jiu Yi, are you able to swallow your anger about what happened back then?" Qi Shuwen asked back. Jiu Yi didn't express his opinion. Back then he was indeed unable to swallow his anger, and that was why he chose to bring Xiaobao along to relax. In actuality he was just trying to escape. However, Jiu Yi didn't say such words because all these years, Qi Shuwen had helped me a lot. After all, I, Jiu Yi, am also a person of the underworld. The reason why we train so hard isn't it to make those who look down on us regret it? To protect our family from being bullied? If not for these beliefs, would there be a need for us to train so hard? Can't we just eat, drink and be merry? Taking the risk to train, isn't that sick? Long Aotian and Jiu Yi didn't say anything. Seems like Qi Shuwen indeed has a lot of resentment towards Voidless Realm. If it wasn't for Qi Shuwen helping them, they really wouldn't want to go to Voidless Realm. "Shuwen, we still have to be careful. If they are really from Voidless Realm, we have to be even more careful." Jiu Yi said gravely. "Of course." Although Qi Shuwen agreed, in actuality in his heart he was already itching to go and trample on them. "Back then you two acted arrogantly in front of me. This time I, Qi Shuwen, am going to act arrogantly in front of you too. Show off my might." Inside the dean's office. "Eternal Hatred, what do you think about this matter?" Chongqing asked, wanting to hear Eternal Hatred's opinion. Eternal Hatred said gravely, "I don't know what to think about this matter, but that man just now. He is someone that our Meridian Break sect put on a wanted list a long time ago." "Which one? The one who spoke?" "No, it's the youngster who is standing at the back." "What? He killed your people?" Chongqing asked curiously. Chapter 1366. Eternal Hatred said solemnly, "It is because of a skeleton." "Skeleton? Undead race." Chongqing was confused. "Yes, that undead race. Didn't he die?" Chongqing asked in shock. Eternal Hatred waved his hands behind his back. Smoke rose and the video from back then was broadcasted. "This is a secret that Meridian Breaking Sect has hidden for many years. Not many people know about it." Chongqing looked at the video. Although his expression was calm, his heart was in turmoil. This skeleton. Just like that skeleton. Chongqing didn't participate in the battle back then, but he had seen the video and knew about that undead race. He felt that this aura was much weaker, but that aura of looking down on everything was very similar. Feels like it, but it doesn't. Chongqing said indifferently. That is why we have to capture him. Then why didn't he attack just now? The three of them are quite strong. If they had attacked, your deity institution would have been destroyed. Eternal Hatred had considered this before, but his strength didn't allow him to act recklessly. If that skeleton didn't die, then the situation would be even worse. Yes, but more than 10 years have passed and there haven't been any large-scale casualties. Maybe it really is fake. Chongqing said solemnly, that might not be the case. This Wuxia Empire is the only empire that allows alien races to live in the city. From this, we can see that this emperor has a good impression of alien races. I even feel that this emperor himself is an alien race. What you said makes sense. For Wuxia Empire to allow a different race to reside in this Wuxia Empire, it has already caused public opinion. I think, just based on this point alone, Wuxia Empire has become the public enemy of all humans. Chonghen said coldly. Chongqing nodded. What he said made sense, but this time we are going to find the disciples. Things get too tense, I am afraid that they will kill us. Yes, if not for that, I really want to wipe out that Wuxia Empire. During these years they have been too arrogant in the north. Chongqing laughed. Eternal Hatred, no matter what, this Wuxia Empire is a matter of the north, so it is normal for us not to interfere. The people in the north didn't say anything, so what reason do we have to use the disciples as an excuse to start a war? I don't want that. Indeed, this time we should bring the children back first. Alright, I'll start making arrangements here. You can start too. We'll set off in 10 days. Should we spread the news? Everlasting Hatred asked. You can relax a little. At least give him some pressure. I think so too. Alright, I'll go back and prepare. You don't have to send me off. Chongqing clasped his hands and disappeared from the spot. Give me some pressure? Will Wuxia Empire be pressured? I can't wait for you to come and stir up trouble. This news spread like wildfire on the second day. The entire southern region knew that meridian-breaking sect and deity institution were making a big move, and they were making a move against Wuxia Empire in the north. The reason was because Wuxia Empire kidnapped their beloved disciple. Many people began to discuss this. This Wuxia Empire was the leader of the north, while the broken meridian sect and deity institution were the superpowers of the south. With such a clash between the strong, would there be any sparks? The news spread in the north on the third day. Within Wuxia Empire. These few days Yihua didn't quarrel with his wife, and their relationship could be considered to be in a frozen state. This kind of situation was still rather good. On the other hand, Dong Huangli and Qing Su were discussing about poisons every single day. They could practically discuss from day to night and they still wanted more. After all, Dong Huangli was young and her way of thinking was different from others. Qing Su received a lot of inspiration from her. Dong Huangli was indeed young, but Qing Su's steadiness was not something that could be easily obtained. Dong Huangli also received a lot of ideas from Qing Su, and she appeared to be exceptionally serious. Qing Su felt that his honor's eyesight was indeed not bad. It was indeed a good thing for his honor to let little Dong Huangli become the leader. God Yi and Zhou Xian were in the making a human stage. Meanwhile, Yi Yan and Chuyu were in the scolding stage. If Chuyu didn't scold Yi Yan for even a minute, her entire body would feel uncomfortable. When Chuyu couldn't win against Yi Yan in a scolding, she would start crying. Yi Yan seemed to have learned from his father's teachings. It seems like he can't see a girl crying, so he just coaxed her. Chuyu grabbed onto this weakness and attacked Yi Yan frenziedly. However, Yi Yan felt that this was just like flirting and cultivating feelings. However, Yi Lu was the only one who was rather bored. No matter who he looked for, no one was free. During these few days, Yi Juetian and Gong Yu were still alright. Yi Juetian knew that Chuyu merely looked like Yi and she wasn't Yi. Sometimes he would even comfort himself that Chuyu was Yi, and that meant that Yi didn't die. She was still alive, Your Honor. Wei Chong slowly walked into the imperial garden, and Yi Hua could be seen sitting on a stone bench, while Qian Yuqing was currently playing the zither. From the looks of it, Yi Hua only fell out with Qin Ya and Dong Huang Baiji, and Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing didn't. Qian Yuqing stopped playing the zither. For Wei Chong to come at this time, there must definitely be a reason. Sit. Yi Hua said faintly. Wei Chong sat down respectfully. Yi Hua personally poured tea for Wei Chong, and Wei Chong held onto the teacup with both of his hands. What happened? There's movement. Wei Chong said in a low voice. A smile appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. That's good. How many people are coming? The number doesn't seem to be a lot, but they are coming. When are they coming? Around 7 days later. Wei Chong said lightly. After pausing for a moment, Wei Chong continued asking, Your Honor, do we need to do anything? There's no need to do anything. Although Wei Chong was puzzled, he still said respectfully, Yes. Subordinate understands. After finished speaking, Wei Chong prepared to stand up and leave. You didn't drink the tea. Yi Hua reminded. Wei Chong hurriedly drank the tea then left. Yi Hua looked towards Qian Yuqing. Qian Yuqing laughed tenderly, then continued playing the zither with her slender hands. The beautiful melody made Yi Hua close his eyes and enjoy the peaceful moment. After the zither finished playing, Qian Yuqing walked to Yi Hua's side. What did Wei Chong say to make you so happy? Oh, then Meridian Break Sect and Deity Academy will be coming in a few days. They are really coming? Seems like they are really doting on their children. Yi Hua laughed lightly, then said with a trace of ridicule, Are they doting on their children or are they making use of them? Who knows? We will know when the time comes. What do you think? Yi Hua asked curiously. Qian Yuqing whispered a few words into Yi Hua's ear, causing Yi Hua to laugh out loud. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and hugged onto Qian Yuqing. Yuqing, I discovered that you have become bad. Isn't it all because of you? Naughty. Yi Hua, calm down, don't be angry at them. Seeing that Yi Hua was in a good mood, Qian Yuqing mustered up her courage and pleaded for Yi Hua. However, after hearing Qian Yuqing's words, Yi Hua's expression turned stiff. You don't have to worry about this matter. After finished speaking, Yi Hua stood up and left. Chapter 1367. The speed at which Yi Hua's face changed caused Qian Yuqing to be dumbstruck. It was still sunny just a moment ago and in an instant there was a thunderstorm. This is even faster than a woman. I was still playing the zither for you just now to make you happy, at least give me some face, and yet you actually got angry. If you don't want me to worry about you, I won't worry about you. This is truly infuriating. Qian Yuqing snorted, then picked up Yi Hua's teacup and drank it in one gulp. She felt that what she was drinking was not tea but wine. It was commonly known as the aura of drinking water into wine. What's wrong? Drinking tea instead of wine in the middle of the day? Qin Yutong walked over with a smile on her face, and it was obvious that she was teasing Yi Hua. Qian Yuqing said helplessly, You saw it yourself just now and you are still teasing me. Qin Yutong sat down leisurely, poured a cup of tea for herself, then said with a slight smile, How can this be considered teasing? This should be called condolence. This brother-in-law of mine, his temper is just like the weather. One second he would be smiling, the next second he would be looking at you with a stern face. He wasn't like this in the past, he always had a poker face. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. From the looks of it, she had played landlord quite a lot. He is just like that, don't take it to heart, I won't be sad with you anymore, it seems like there is something going on. Qin Yutong said with a smile, then hurriedly walked out of the imperial garden. If there is something going on, how can I be left out? Qian Yuqing held onto her forehead helplessly. This is different from what I imagined. The life that I imagined should be the kind of loving life, where every day is like bathing in love, which would be able to make my heart warm, but right now, it is just like the weather, it is so unstable. At this moment, Qin Yutong caught up to Yi Hua. Brother-in-law, wait for me, Qin Yutong shouted out with that coquettish tone of hers, and it was practically able to give Yi Hua goosebumps. To be able to act coquettishly to such an extent, only Qin Yutong would be able to do so. Other people are simply unable to do so. Just from this coquettish tone of yours, I, the Supreme Overlord, will have to stop my footsteps and ask what exactly is going on. What's the matter? Brother-in-law, wait for me, I can't even catch up to you. Qin Yutong immediately held onto Yi Hua's arm, then once again used her ultimate move of acting coquettishly. This move was effective on any man. Qin Yutong had naturally told her big sister before, but Qin Yutong didn't use coquettish tone. Xianxia is also a person, how can I act coquettishly? Speak normally. All right. Brother-in-law, is there something that you want me to do? Qin Yutong's eyebrows twitched and had a look of brother-in-law you understand on her face. Yi Hua looked at Qin Yutong and pondered in his heart. However, when Qin Yutong saw Yi Hua looking straight at her like that, she became a bit shy. Although they were already an old married couple, suddenly doing something like this was still a bit weird. "Brother-in-law, what are you doing using this kind of expression to look at sister-in-law?" Qin Yutong said shyly, then lowered her head and stood on her tiptoes, and it was obvious that she was pretending to be young. When Yi Hua saw this, he couldn't help but say, "All right, you're not young anymore, yet you're still acting like a little girl. Brother-in-law, you are very hateful. I, Qin Yutong, am 18 years old every year, okay?" Qin Yutong rolled her eyes at Yi Hua. "How can you be so straightforward? If not for me finding a wife first, I'm afraid that I would still be single right now." The corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched, then he continued walking forward. All right, I have matured all right. Yutong, there is indeed a matter that I need you to do," Yi Hua suddenly said. Qin Yutong went into a daze, then said in a deadly earnest manner, "Brother-in-law, you just have to instruct me, no matter if it is to climb a mountain of swords or jump into a pot of boiling oil. I, Qin Yutong, will not even blink my eyes. It's not that exaggerated, I just want you to act out your true colors for a bit." Brother-in-law, what do you mean by this? You are making me a bit muddle-headed." Yi Hua told Qin Yutong about what happened, and when Qin Yutong heard it, she felt that it was not bad. "Brother-in-law, what you mean is, if these people are using the excuse of wanting to have children, then we should get rid of all of them, and if they are really worried about the children, then we should let bygones be bygones." Yi Hua nodded his head. "This is the choice that I am giving them, to live or die. I will let them make the choice themselves. Talk to the children about this, I will talk to them about the other matters. What about big sister's side? I'll go." Hearing that Yi Hua was going to talk to big sister, Qin Yutong was naturally happy. "Brother-in-law, you go ahead then, I will go and talk to the children first." "Go." Looking at Qin Yutong, who was walking away with cheerful steps, the corner of Yi Hua's mouth arced up. "After so many years, you really did not change at all. On the other hand, your big sister changed a lot, especially that temper of hers." Yi Hua directly arrived at the bedroom of Xianxia and the others. Right after walking in, Donghuang Baiji and Xianxia could hear the sounds of laughter. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji were laughing happily. However, when Yi Hua appeared, the two women immediately shut up and even put on a straight face. The speed at which his face changed was as fast as Yi Hua's. Yi Hua didn't want to argue too much with the two of them, and thus he sat in front of the two of them. If it was in the past, he would definitely be sitting between Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji, with each of his arms around one of them. But now, it seemed more like a negotiation. The three of them just sat there quietly. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji didn't ask anything. Yi Hua wanted to see if the two women would take the initiative or not. After waiting for a long time, he decided to forget about it. "What do you all think about the matter regarding Yi Yan and God Yi?" Yi Hua took the initiative to speak. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji felt joy in their hearts. It was as if they had won this Cold War. In actuality, Yi Hua neglected a fatal problem. Why are they making such a ruckus? Why? In the end, it's still because I am too free. Other than making a ruckus with you, they don't have any other daily life. So I can't let women be idle. I must definitely do something, only then will I be able to divert my anger. Otherwise, they would only be discussing about what to do every day. However, since Yi Hua took the initiative, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji didn't want to make things too difficult for him, unless they really wanted to divorce. "What do you think we should do?" Xianxia directly threw this question to Yi Hua. This wasn't a provocation, this was just like saying, "You are the head of the family, you have the final say." Yi Hua felt slightly more comfortable in his heart. In actuality, when it comes to matters between husband and wife, both of us just need to take a step back and the sky will be wide open. Of course, this also depends on the problem of personality. Some men and women are just stubborn and they want to be stubborn to the end. As long as Yi Yan and God Yi both like it, I will naturally approve of it. Chuyu and Zhou Xian are also not bad. As long as the children are happy, it's fine. Towards this problem, Yi Hua had already thought it through long ago. I won't get involved in it and I'll let the children do whatever they want. As long as I like it, it's fine. Towards Yi Hua's words, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji naturally wouldn't object to it. This child seems to be about to be pregnant, how else can they object to it? Chapter 1368. Nothing was more powerful than a child. Since Yi Yan and God Yi have their own homes and children, let's choose a time to marry them. We can't miss out on any of the necessary etiquette. Donghuang Baiji said lightly. There was still a bit of unhappiness in her tone. After all, Yi Hua did not give them a proper wedding. Yi Hua was naturally able to tell that he wanted to do it as well. However, it was not the right time yet. Thus he could only push it back a bit. Seeing that Yi Hua seemed to be intending to avoid this question, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji became unhappy. Just what is this Yi Hua worried about? Why is he not willing to hold a wedding for us? Isn't this just a matter of a few words from you? When the time comes, you can just come out and walk around with your clothes on. You can even pretend to be mute. I can say everything. Can't this even work? Right, there is one more thing that I need to tell you all. Yi Hua hurriedly changed the topic. At this time it is better not to talk about the wedding anymore. Xianxia asked snappily, what is it? The people from Meridian Break Sect and Deity Academy came to look for the child. They thought that the child was kidnapped. Yi Hua said faintly. So? Donghuang Baiji asked confusedly. Thus, if you are using the excuse of looking for a child to cause trouble, I, the Supreme Overlord, will naturally not let you off. However, if you are sincere, then forget it. Yi Hua said faintly. After hearing what Yi Hua said, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji pondered for a moment. This is also Yi Hua's usual way of doing things. For so many years, it doesn't seem like anything has happened. You can decide for yourself. I'll cooperate with you when the time comes. Xianxia said in a low voice. From the looks of it, I also want to vent my anger. Since I can't vent my anger on my husband, I will just find someone else to vent my anger on. Alright, it is decided then. Yi Hua stood up, seemingly planning to leave. For the past few years, Yi Hua had always been like this. After saying a few sentences, he would immediately leave. There was basically no communication at all, and a husband and wife who didn't communicate with each other were simply like strangers. While looking at Yi Hua's back view, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji did not say anything. They were already used to it. However, Yi Hua didn't leave immediately. Instead, he turned around and asked, do you want to go to the child's side together? Sure enough, when Yi Hua said this, both Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment. Did this man take the wrong medicine today? To actually know how to invite me over. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji stood up and said, it just so happens that we are planning to go there as well, let's go together then. Look at these two women. They are so arrogant. It is as if a peacock is holding a court. It is really embarrassing. Yi Hua didn't say anything. Right now the situation is that you take a step back and I take a step back. This way we will be able to reconcile with each other. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji walked to Yi Hua's side and lightly held onto Yi Hua's wrist. Yi Hua couldn't even remember how long it has been since the two women last had such an action. Today is truly a good day. But for the children, today was a surprising day. And it can't be, right? Is this a scam? When Dong Huangli heard Qin Yutong's words, she was clearly incomparably shocked. Is there a need to be so ruthless? Yes, this is too exaggerated. Yan followed along and said. Although this is just an act, we are still suffering a lot. And you actually want to? This is too outrageous. Qin Yutong said solemnly with the appearance of an elder. How is this exaggerated? This is what your father requested. Father is too bored, right? Yilu couldn't help but ask. Qin Yutong let out a long sigh. It is not only your father who is bored, all of us are very bored. Now that we finally have something to do, you all have to shoulder this responsibility. Our happiness will depend on you all. God Yi choked back his words. It feels like your happiness is built on top of our pain. How is there pain? I just want you all to let out a few screams. How big of a deal is this? The four children revealed out an expression of, I don't believe you all, causing Qin Yutong to feel a bit gloomy. No matter what, I am still a person who is at the level of an ant, and yet I am actually not being trusted by these children. This is an order, you all carry it out properly. And I will be leaving first. Bye-bye little fellows. Looking at Qin Yutong leaving happily, Dong Huangli let out a light sigh. Aunt is really bad. That's right, and she's the super kind. Yi Yan followed along and said. God Yi and Yi Lu didn't express anything after all, it had already come to this. I'm going back first. Yi Yan seemed to be a bit anxious. Yi Lu teased. Brother, how long has it been and you are already thinking of sister-in-law? That's right, you can't be serious, right? Dong Huangli chuckled, looking as if she already knew about Yi Yan's background. How is that possible? I'm just afraid that woman will get into trouble, so I have to look after her. Yi Yan said with a lie. After interacting with Chuyu for the past few days, he discovered that there were a lot of cute parts about Chuyu, and of course, there were also some parts that made him angry. But in conclusion, Chuyu is still a good girl. It seems like I am gradually falling for her. This woman's schemes sure are deep, to actually use this kind of method to make me Yi Yan fall in love with her. No matter what, I, Yi Yan, am the eldest son of Yi family, and for you to get your hands on me so easily, I will definitely resist a bit to show my chastity. After hearing what Yi Yan said, the other three couldn't help but laugh, especially Yi Lu. After all, it has been so many years, do you still not know what kind of character your brother has? If it was the kind of woman who doesn't care about men, she would definitely not care about men, but if it was the kind of woman who cares about men, this is the kind of reaction I have. Men ah. Yi Yan took a look at everyone, then stated once again, I'm really just going to take a look. I know, you should quickly go and take a look in case your little wife disappears and you get anxious again. Dong Huangli said with a light smile. Seeing that both of her brothers have a girl that they like, she felt happy in her heart. Yi Yan revealed a helpless look, then hurriedly left. God Yi, you should go back and accompany Xianxia as well, she can't leave you now. Dong Huangli said with a light smile. God Yi nodded his head, then left. Sigh. Dong Huangli suddenly let out a light sigh. Big sister, why did you suddenly let out a sigh? Yilu asked curiously. It's nothing, I just feel that after growing up, life is truly a bit boring. Yilu pursed her lips, seemingly agreeing with what Dong Huangli said. Lu, do you have any plans for the future? Dong Huangli, who was sitting at the side, asked curiously. I plan to go out and take a walk by myself. The outside world is so big, I also want to go out and take a look. Yilu said with a light smile. It could be seen that Yilu truly wanted to go out and take a walk and perhaps even go out and take a look. Chapter 1369. Dong Huangli nodded her head. Alright, the outside world is beautiful and depraved. You have to be careful. Big sister, I understand. Dong Huangli patted Yilu's shoulder and prepared to leave. Big sister, what do you plan to do in the future? Dad has already arranged everything. Dong Huangli said in a low voice. Her tone seemed to be filled with helplessness. If possible, I want to go out with Lu, but I can't disappoint Dad. Therefore I have to make a choice. Who asked me to be the eldest? If I don't take responsibility, who else will? Yilu lightly held onto her big sister's hand and said with a smile, Big sister, it has been hard on you. It's not hard at all, it's just a change of lifestyle. Dong Huangli patted her little sister's shoulder, then left the room with a smile. Yilu looked at her big sister's back view and felt that her big sister is different from when she was young. Her big sister has always been chasing after Dad's footsteps without stopping. Chuyu. Yi Yan returned to the room and realized that Chuyu, the old woman, was missing. He started searching crazily in the room, even under the bed. He seemed to be a bit anxious. He searched the entire room, but he couldn't find Chuyu at all, so he hurriedly ran outside to search. After searching the entire palace, he still couldn't find Chuyu. Yi Yan panted a little and sat on the stone bench at the side. His gaze was a little unfocused as he said in a low voice, What's going on? Why am I in such a hurry? She wants to leave, let her go. Anyway, father and mother are fine now and don't need her anymore. That's right, let her leave, what does it have to do with me, she's not anyone to me. Although Yi Yan said that, his brows were deeply wrinkled. He seemed to be very unhappy. Very unhappy. Why am I unhappy? It's as if my wife ran away with another man and made me a cuckold. His lungs were about to explode from anger. Suddenly, a sweet voice sounded out from outside. Xian, quickly go back, otherwise God Yi will be anxious. Why would he be anxious? He doesn't even care about me. But if your big brother Yan gets anxious, he won't be able to find you. This sentence was obviously meant to tease. Chiyu proudly raised her chin. Him? Will he be anxious? The sun will rise from the west. Then big sister Chiyu, see you tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow. The two ladies waved their hands. After all, they were the only ones who had a common language in this palace. Hence Zhou Xian came to look for Chuyu just now. The two of them went out for a walk and chatted. Yi Yan saw Chuyu at first glance, but his gaze was not friendly, as if he was about to flip out. Chuyu was a little confused. Didn't he just go out for a walk? Looking at him, it seemed like he wanted to eat her up. Come here. Yi Yan shouted coldly. Chuyu was a little frightened. Yi Yan looked a little scary, different from before. What's the matter? Why are you like this? Chiyu furrowed her brows slightly and walked up with small steps. Yi Yan looked at the woman in front of him, and his heart was filled with all sorts of emotions. When he saw that this woman had returned, his frustrated heart instantly calmed down. Yi Yan felt even more depressed about this. His heart was actually moved by this woman. Yi Yan hugged Chiyu, who was in front of him. Chiyu screamed and fell into Yi Yan's arms. If you dare to run around in the future again, I will beat you to death. Yi Yan hugged Chiyu tightly and said. However, this sentence had a bit of a confession. Chiyu didn't expect that Yi Yan would actually say such a thing. However, when she felt Yi Yan's nervousness, she felt rather happy in her heart. However, she said, beat me to death then. In any case, you have always been bullying me, humph. If I don't see you when I come back in the future, I will hang you up and beat you. Go and die. Yi Yan, who was overwhelmed with emotions, lowered his head and kissed Chiyu. Chiyu was immediately stupefied. Chiyu's first kiss was gone just like that. Yi Yan doesn't even know who he gave his first kiss to. Cough, cough, cough. A light cough suddenly rang out, and the two youngsters immediately separated from each other with an expression of, I didn't do anything just now. It's broad daylight, what are you doing? Yi Hua walked in with Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji. When the two women heard Yi Hua's scolding, they thought to themselves, aren't you the same? In the past, did you even differentiate between day and night? Like father, like son. Dad, Mom, why did you two come here? What's the matter? Yi Yan hurriedly changed the topic. Just like his dad, when he met with a question that he couldn't answer, he would immediately change the topic. Yi Hua didn't expect that Yenner was capable, kissing Chiyu just like that. You two really turned the act into reality. Not bad. This is how my son should be, how can I not have some tricks up my sleeves? It's nothing, you two can continue. Yi Hua originally wanted to say something, but his son wasn't free right now. If I let them warm up their relationship a bit more, when the time comes they might really give birth to a child. At this moment Xianxia warned, Yan, treat Chiyu well, don't be so thoughtless. Oh, got it, Mom. Yi Yan let out a sigh of relief when he saw his dad and mom leaving. Just now I was so scared that I almost peed in my pants. It's just like when I was young and got caught by my mom when I was doing something bad with my big sister. Yi Yan secretly took a look at Chiyu, who was beside him, and discovered that Chiyu's face was practically completely red. What about that? It's so awkward, huh? Yi Yan didn't know what to say anymore. Just now it seems like I was too impulsive and I even said some incomprehensible words. It's so embarrassing, why did I say those words? It's so embarrassing. When the atmosphere was right, some words were directly said out. But after the atmosphere was over, when Yi Yan recalled what he said just now, he felt that his face was burning hot and he felt very embarrassed. Chiyu silently sat on the stone bench at the side, slightly lowered her head and didn't say anything. Yi Yan looked at Chiyu's appearance. As a scumbag, I don't even know what to do. Yi Yan decided to just sit at the side, and the air seemed to have become quiet. Were you confessing just now? Chiyu suddenly looked towards Yi Yan and asked the question in her heart. Yi Yan went into a daze, then scratched the back of his head. What confessing? You are thinking too much. Oh, got it. Chiyu said lightly. However, as long as one isn't an idiot, one would be able to tell how disappointed Chiyu was. Yi Yan was naturally able to tell as well. Looking at Chiyu's expression, he felt a bit uncomfortable in his heart. Chiyu stood up and said lightly, I'm tired, I'm going in to rest for a bit. Yi Yan subconsciously grabbed onto Chiyu's small hand. The two of them maintained this position. A light breeze blew past and Chiyu's black hair slightly fluttered, appearing very lively. Let's be together for the rest of our lives, okay?